Live. All right. Welcome again. Grand rising, my fellow minds, my fellow eternals, fellow I am. Welcome to another sunny Sunday of the one great I am. Awakening, I'm Chris Taylor, one of your hosts. And to my right is my big brother and partner in mind and in spirit,
Yes,
Sir T.
sir. Yes, sir. Greetings, Sir Chris, and to everybody out there, those who are here on the Zoom and the ones who will be joining on other social media platforms. So a blessed Sunday morning one more time. Here again to play the game of life. You know, and as the book is gonna suggest, it's a game that has rules. So the book is called the game of life and how to play it. Unlike any other game, Sir Chris, it has rules, it has opponents. It's like any other game that you watch a basketball game, there's your position, a soccer game, whatever you're watching, there's an opposition. The good thing about this game, though, and this is what we are highlighting this morning, is that you are the opponent. It is you that's playing both sides. It's you that's playing all of the parts.
Hmm.
Now, with that being said, it now gives you an opportunity to do a thing called match fixing. It happens in a lot of sports, where they fix the match because they can influence the result. You can influence the result in this game. No, I've never heard of or seen anybody do match fixing and not do it in their favor. So when you're fixing this match, you fix it in your favor because you are the opponent and you are the original team player at the same time. So that's what this book teaches. It teaches the rules. It teaches you how to manipulate the thing and get the results that your heart desires. Perfect.
Yes, Sir T, I love how you put that. It goes exactly as such. Problem is, we're not aware that we can fix the match. We're not aware that we are actually playing the match. We don't know that. We're the referee, we're the fans, we're both teams on the field or on the court, and knowing that you can fix it. You understand? You have a other side of you that's opposing what you are aiming to receive or to get or to win in this sense. And if you know that the other side is you opposing you, then you can actually you know fix or coerce even the opponent
Oh, yeah.
to give you the victory. You understand? There's a while back we did a topic on mind chat titled "You versus You." You remember that certain
That's what it really
you?
comes down to. That's what it really is. It's you versus you. The thing is, awareness is the key. Consciousness. When you are aware of that, because we could flow through this life mindlessly, never ever becoming awakened to the reality that say you are the one. But when you become aware, it gives you the advantage that now you know the obstacles, the obstacles that we face in life. I mean, how many obstacles you ever face will ever kill you? None so far. You overcome every one so far, right? So, Chris?
Exactly.
Yeah. You overcome all the obstacles so far. Everything that seemed to be stacked against you. How you think you've overcome them all? And you manipulate your way through all of it because you're the one that put yourself in it.
Mhm.
You're the one that put yourself in it, so you manipulate your way through it just the same.
Yeah,
So the comfort that comes from that is that there really is nothing to worry about because it's really just a movie. You're watching a movie, it's a scary movie. Just become aware within yourself, say, oh, it's a movie, so I don't have to be afraid. That's what it is.
absolutely. All right, so I see we have 6 of us now. So we're going to get this show on the road, get it started today. As aforementioned, we're doing Game of Life and how to play it. We're doing a part 2. Last week we did part 1, chapters 1, 2, and 3. This week we're doing chapters 4, 5, and 6. That order, you know. So chapter 4 is coming up. Pretty interesting chapter, you know. So you guys got your books? Grab your book, take some notes. Take your notes. If you can't do it physically, do it mentally because you might be busy. But who we have here? We have Janice. We have Sister Charmin. Sound like a DJ name, eh? Sister Charmin.
Charmin.
Sir Clifford, of course. Myself and you, Sir T. I'm sure we're gonna have a few more people joining in the interim, but just so we can get the show on the road, we're gonna do these 3 chapters, discuss them, and come back after every chapter to go in depth of what he's trying to say. All right. So without further ado, let's pull this up. Exit this right here. And here we are. Florence Scover Shin. The Game of Life. Uh-oh. What did I do? I think I went too far. Hold on, guys. For some reason. Okay. Hold on. Got to get exactly to, there it is. All right. Right on the money, chapter 4.
Chapter 4, The Law of Non-Resistance. Nothing on earth can resist an absolutely non-resistant person. The Chinese say that water is the most powerful element because it is perfectly non-resistant. It can wear away a rock and sweep all before it. Jesus Christ said, "Resist not evil," for he knew in reality there is no evil, therefore nothing to resist. Evil has come of man's vain imagination, or a belief in 2 powers, good and evil. There is an old legend that Adam and Eve ate of Maya, the tree of illusion, and saw 2 powers instead of 1 power, God. Therefore, evil is a false law man has made for himself, through the psychoma or soul sleep. Soul sleep means that man's soul has been hypnotized by the race belief of sin, sickness, and death, etc., which is carnal or mortal thought, and his affairs have outpictured his illusions. We have heard in previous chapters that man's soul is his subconscious mind, and whatever he feels deeply, good or bad, is outpictured by the faithful servant. His body and affairs show forth what he has been picturing. The sick man has pictured sickness, the poor man poverty, the rich man wealth. People often say, "Why does a little child attract illness when it is too young even to know what it means?" I answer that children are sensitive and receptive to the thoughts of others around them, and often outpicture the fears of their parents. I heard a metaphysician once say, "If you do not run your subconscious mind yourself, someone else will run it for you." Mothers often, unconsciously, attract illness and disaster to their children by continually holding them in thoughts of fear and watching for symptoms. For example, a friend asked a woman if her little girl had had the measles. She replied promptly, "Not yet." This implied that she was expecting the illness and therefore preparing the way for what she did not want for herself and child. However, the man who is centered and established in right thinking, the man who sends out only goodwill to his fellow man, and who is without fear, cannot be touched or influenced by the negative thoughts of others. In fact, he could only receive only good thoughts, as he himself sends forth only good thoughts. Resistance is hell, for places man in a state of torment. A metaphysician once gave me a wonderful recipe for taking every trick in the game of life. It is the acme of non-resistance. He gave it in this way. At one time in my life, I baptized children, and of course they had many names. Now I no longer baptize children, but I baptize events. But I give every event the same name. If I have a failure, I baptize it success, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. In this, we see the great law of transmutation, founded on non-resistance. Through his spoken word, every failure was transmuted into success. For example, a woman who required money and who knew the spiritual law of opulence was thrown continually in a business way with a man who made her feel very poor. He talked lack and limitation, and she commenced to catch his poverty thoughts. So she disliked him and blamed him for her failure. She knew in order to demonstrate her supply, she must first feel that she has received a feeling of opulence. A feeling of opulence must precede its manifestation. It dawned on her one day that she was resisting the situation and seeing two powers instead of one. So she blessed the man and baptized the situation success. She affirmed, "As there is only one power, God, this man is here for my good and my prosperity," just what he did not seem to be there for. Soon after that, she met through this man a woman who gave her for a service rendered several $1,000s, and the man moved to a distant city and faded harmoniously from her life. Make the statement, "Every man is a golden link in the chain of my good," for all men are God in manifestation, awaiting the opportunity given by man himself to serve the divine plan of his life. Bless your enemy, and you rob him of his ammunition. His arrows will be transmuted into blessings. This law is true of nations as well as individuals. Bless a nation, send love and goodwill to every inhabitant, and it is robbed of its power to harm. Man can only get the right idea of non-resistance through spiritual understanding. My students have often said, "I don't want to be a doormat." I reply, when you use non-resistance with wisdom, no one will ever be able to walk over you. Another example. One day, I was impatiently awaiting an important telephone call. I resisted every call that came in and made no outgoing calls myself, reasoning that it might interfere with the one I was awaiting. Instead of saying, "Divine ideas never conflict. The call will come at the right time," leaving it to infinite intelligence to arrange, I commenced to manage things myself. I made the battle mine, not God's, and remained tense and anxious. The bell did not ring for an hour, and I glanced at the phone and found the receiver had been off that length of time, and the phone was disconnected. My anxiety, fear, and belief in interference had brought on a total eclipse of the telephone. Realizing what I had done, I commenced blessing the situation at once. I baptized it success and affirmed, "I cannot lose any call that belongs to me by divine right. I am under grace and not under law." A friend rushed out to the nearest telephone to notify the company to reconnect. She entered a crowded grocery, but the proprietor left his customers and attended to the call himself. My phone was connected at once, and 2 minutes later, I received a very important call, and about an hour afterward, the one I had been awaiting. Once ships come in over a calm sea, so long as man resists a situation, he will have it with him. If he runs away from it, it will run after him. For example, I repeated this to a woman one day, and she replied, "How true that is. I was unhappy at home. I disliked my mother, who is critical and domineering, so I ran away and was married. But I married my mother, for my husband was exactly like my mother, and I had the same situation to face again. Agree with thine adversary quickly." This means agree that the adverse situation is good, be undisturbed by it, and it falls away of its own weight. "None of these things move me" is a wonderful affirmation. The inharmonious situation comes from some inharmony within man himself. When there is in him no emotional response to an inharmonious situation, it fades away forever from his pathway. So we see man's work is ever with himself. People have said to me, "Give treatments to change my husband or my brother." I reply, no, I will give treatments to change you. When you change, your husband and your brother will change. One of my students was in the habit of lying. I told her it was a failure method, and if she lied, she would be lied to too. She replied, "I don't care. I can't possibly get along without lying." One day she was speaking on the phone to a man with whom she was very much in love. She turned to me and said, "I don't trust him. I know he's lying to me." I replied, "Well, you lie yourself, so someone has to lie to you, and you will be sure it will be just the person you want the truth from." Sometime after that, I saw her and she said, "I'm cured of lying." I questioned, "What cured you?" She replied, "I have been living with a woman who lied worse than I did." One is often cursed of his faults by seeing them in others. Life is a mirror, and we find only ourselves reflected in our associates. Living in the past is a failure method and a violation of spiritual law. Jesus Christ said, "Behold, now is the accepted time. Now is the day of salvation." Lot's wife looked back and was turned into a pillar of salt. The robbers of time are the past and the future. Man should bless the past and forget it if it keeps him in bondage, and bless the future knowing it has in store for him endless joys, but to live fully in the now. For example, a woman came to me complaining that she had no money with which to buy Christmas gifts. She said, "Last year was so different. I had plenty of money and gave lovely presents, and this year I have scarcely a cent." I replied, "You will never demonstrate money while you are pathetic and live in the past. Live fully in the now and get ready to give Christmas presents. Dig your ditches and the money will come." She exclaimed, "I know what to do. I will buy some tinsel twine, Christmas seals, and wrapping paper." I replied, "Do that, and the presents will come and stick themselves to the Christmas seals." This too was showing financial fearlessness and faith in God, as the reasoning mind said, "Keep every cent you have, as you are not sure you will get any more." She bought the seals, paper, and twine, and a few days before Christmas received a gift of several $100s. Buying the seals and twine had impressed the subconscious with expectancy and opened the way for the manifestation of the money. She purchased all the presents in plenty of time. Man must live suspended in the moment. Look well, therefore, to this day. Look well, therefore, to this day. Such is the salvation of the dawn. He must be spiritually alert, ever waiting his leads, taking advantage of every opportunity. One day, I said continually, silently, "Infinite Spirit, don't let me miss a trick." And something very important was told to me that evening. It is most necessary to begin the day with the right words. Make an affirmation immediately upon waking. For example, "Thy will be done this day." Today is a day of completion. I give thanks for this perfect day. Miracle shall follow miracle and wonders shall never cease. Make this a habit and one will see wonders and miracles come into his life. One morning I picked up a book and read, "Look with wonder at that which is before you." It seemed to be my message for the day, so I repeated again and again, "Look with wonder at that which is before you." At about noon, a large sum of money was given me, which I had been desiring for a certain purpose. In the following chapter, I will give affirmations that I have found most effective. However, one should never use an affirmation unless it is absolutely satisfying and convincing to his own consciousness. And often, an affirmation is changed to suit different people. For example, the following has brought success to many. I have a wonderful work in a wonderful way. I give wonderful service for wonderful pay. I gave the first two lines to one of my students, and she added the last two. It made a most wonderful statement, as there should always be perfect payment for perfect service, and a rhyme sinks easily into the subconscious. She went about singing it aloud, and soon did receive wonderful work in a wonderful way, and gave wonderful service for wonderful pay. Another student, a businessman, took it and changed the word work to business. He repeated, "I have a wonderful business in a wonderful way, and I give wonderful service for wonderful pay." That afternoon, he made a $41,000 deal, though there had been no activity in his affairs for months. Every affirmation must be carefully worded and completely cover the ground. For example, I know a woman who is in great need and made a demand for work. She received a great deal of work, but was never paid anything. She now knows to add, wonderful service for wonderful pay. It is man's divine right to have plenty, more than enough. His barns should be full, and his cup should flow over. This is God's idea for man. And when man breaks down the barriers of lack in his own consciousness, the golden age will be his, and every righteous desire of his heart fulfilled. This ends Chapter 4. Chapter 5.
All right, and we're back. That was chapter 4, the law of non-resistance. Any guys, any one of you here speak French? The law of non-resistance? That's how they say it in French. Sounds better like that. E30, the law of non-resistance.
Yes, sir.
You know, what you say?
Nothing to resist. Resistance creates opposition.
Resistance creates
Opposition.
opposition.
If you resist something, then you're making it an enemy. And if you make it an enemy, then it's gonna fight you. Anything you fight is gonna fight you. So if you don't resist it, then there is no opposition, and if there is no opposition, then the journey is smoother. Don't see anything as an obstacle. You're the one creating it anyway. So don't see it as an obstacle. Just see it as a part of the journey. Don't develop an emotion. Don't attach an emotion to any particular event that is happening in your life. Don't attach an emotion of resistance or opposition to it. Don't see it as that. It's just a part of the journey. If you make it into that by the way that you perceive it, because perception is reality. If you perceive it as an opposition, then in reality it will become an opposition. Even though if you had just left it alone, it would have fallen under the weight of its own nothingness. It's nothing. So it's just something for us to be. These things, we know them enough, but we are not aware. We don't remain aware of it. We know it, but we don't stay in the knownness of it, so that you remain aware. Awareness at all times. That is the saving of the soul. When no talk about save your soul down by the church and all these nonsense. No. Saving of the soul, which is the consciousness of man. The soul of man is the consciousness of man, it's the awareness of man. Now you save that soul when you remain present tense with it at all times. As the book said earlier in the chapter, the past and the future, those are the robbers of the soul. Those are the robbers of the consciousness. So the more you can stay away from the past and the future, I'm talking in consciousness, and remain consciously present, consciously aware at all times. That's how you will, be able to see. I want to that thing when you're in the past and in the future too much with your mind all over the place. Your manifestation all happen right in front of you and you don't even recognize it. Because you're not here. The manifestation is here, but you're not here. You have to be here and now. Even in your imagination, even in your affirmation. When you affirm something, you're not affirming it with a consciousness that this is something that's going to happen later. You're affirming it as something that is right now. I am. And even though we use the word I am in consciousness because we're not present right here, we are saying I am, but in consciousness we're putting am into the future.
Yeah.
We're still feeling it as something that's gonna happen later.
So we say I am going to, or I am going to.
Yeah, even if we say I am prosperous, in our mind we're feeling I am going to be prosperous.
Yeah.
So even if verbally you say I am, consciously you're saying I'm going to.
The feeling.
Because consciously you're not here in the present, you're not staying in the present. You have to remain in the present. The present tense of the consciousness is the saving of the soul. The present tense of the consciousness is the saving of the soul. That's why, it is often theorized that when you focus on your breath, that's what brings you at the crossroad of consciousness. Because you can't focus on your breath in the future, or in the past. When you're focusing on your breath, you have to do it now because the breath is now.
Mm-hmm.
When you're focusing on your breath, it brings you to the nowness of the situation. And while you're there, you're at the crossroad of consciousness where you can focus on that breath and see yourself as being disastrous, or seeing yourself in experiencing your maximum opulence. It's your decision at that point because you have come to yourself like the prodigal son. To come to yourself, you have to slow down every other thought, lock out everything else, and come to yourself. And what is the self of man? The self of man is God. If there is a God, the self of man is God. When you come to yourself, you ever hear them talk about you have a come to Jesus conversation with somebody. When you come to yourself, you just come to Jesus, man. You just come to God. God, there's no God or no Jesus outside of self.
That's what the prodigal son said, right? When he was in the field, I eat wild locusts and him some day. Him say he came to himself
Yeah,
and rise up and went home to his father because he remembered that he was rich.
yeah. And going home to the father is not a separate being from him. He just returns to his father's state. What is
Higher
father?
awareness.
Father is provider. Yeah, father is the provider. It is what initiates all proceedings. It's the father. So when he returns to his father, he's not one man and father. He returns to the state of the father. He returns to the state where I'm the one who makes the decisions. I don't have to ask inheritance. I'm the one who gives the inheritance.
Yeah. So it's a inside job, the entire thing.
Not happening outside, man. The only thing that happens outside is the manifestation of what has been happening inside. Nothing is really happening outside. Outside is just the shadow. Nothing is happening, and your shadow cannot move if you're not moving. Try it one day. Stand up in the sun at high noon and stand up out there as long as you want and do a move and see if your shadow move. Will your shadow to move and wish that it move and pray that it move and stand right there and watch it move. It's an impossibility. The shadow is what is on the outside. The shadow is the guy in the mirror. When you look at the shadow on the ground, it's like a guy in the mirror. If you don't move, the guy in the mirror can't move. If you don't move, your shadow on the ground cannot move. If you don't move on the inside, nothing happens on the outside. And anything you see happening on the outside, don't think it's another man's shadow or your shadow. The guy that you look at in the mirror, don't look at the guy in the mirror and think of somebody else. It is you.
Has anyone ever done that? Look at him or herself and think it was somebody else. You might not look how you used to look, but you know it's you.
You better know.
Right? You can never lie to yourself in that regards, you know?
It's the same thing with the experiences you're having in life. It is your shadow. You can't blame it for another. If you and your sister out in the yard play, no matter how much your sister move and your shadow will move all over the place, her moving cannot influence your shadow for moving. So nothing can happen in your world and you try to blame it on somebody else. Your shadow, your sister might move, and because she moved, you decide to also move. But your shadow did not move because your sister moved. Your shadow moved because you allowed your sister to influence you to move.
It's always incumbent upon you.
Correct.
The first move. That's what scripture said. This lady who said, if I could just touch the hem of his garment, I, first person, present tense. If I could just touch the hem of his garment, I will be made whole.
Correct.
Never say, if Jesus touch her.
Come and touch me. No, you have to do the reaching out. Scripture also say, draw nigh unto God, and he will draw nigh unto you. You notice who has to draw nigh first, who has to make the first move. The man on the out, the man have to move before the man in the mirror move. You have to move before the shadow move. So when it moves, when the shadow moves, you can't blame it on nobody else. If you don't ever move, it couldn't move. And it's the same thing when you prosper. Don't give the praise to somebody. That's what blasphemy is. People tell me all the time, I'm must be careful with blasphemy. When they listen to the way I read. People say, mind your put careful. No, I'm not telling you what blasphemy is. Blasphemy is when you move and your shadow moves accordingly. And if it's in a prosperous being, you give the praise to a virgin named God. Or if you move and your shadow move accordingly, and if it happens in a way that is not favorable, not desirable, you give the blame to an ex-virgin named the devil. And you've never met either of these two virgins. You've never met either of them, But you give praise to one and you give blame to the other when things work according to your prompting. That's what blasphemy is. You're blaspheming yourself. You got arguments mind you're blaspheming God. You're blaspheming yourself. When you are, it's like you look at your children that you know is your children and you deny them. That's I mean, in common terms, in natural terms, tangible terms, that's the worst blasphemy you could ever perform. Because everybody look at you like a damn idiot. You ever look on a man and see him pick me up and you know say me there with the woman him and I used to live together and she have the dead stamp on him and him walk on her and say, he looks like a jackass, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Everybody can see that it's your child, idiot.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? That's what blasphemy is the same thing when you bring forth something in your life and give the praises to God. Or you bring forth some destruction in your life and before you go fix yourself, you're giving the blame to a devil. Blasphemy. And what you say about blasphemy? It is incorrectable. There's no forgiveness of it for it. If you're in blasphemy, you have a problem, brother. You have a big old problem. Nobody can help you with that. There's no forgiveness. You have to go fix that. You have to go back and go find yourself and realize that the things that are prospering in my life is as a result of my movement, and the things that are not prospering in my life is as a result of my movement. Otherwise, blasphemy.
And in denying it, what you're doing is resisting.
Yeah.
You understand? So you're saying, no, that's not true. That's not, that's not, I didn't cause that. That didn't come from me. So what happens? Because you've denied it and are resisted, it will continue because you have not accepted that it is coming from you. If you know it's coming from you, you will fix it. It's really easy. If you know, whenever you know it is you doing something and it is not productive, for it to stop, all you have to do is stop because you know it is you doing it. You understand?
It's like your wife argument. The quickest way to get the argument to stop is you stop, grab your keys and cut your wife. And you still in the argument.
Yeah.
If you keep resisting her and trying to convince her that what she has said you do, you never do. Or what you are telling her that she do what she has said she never do. Yes, the only way to end it is either you leave for a while or she leaves for a while. As long as you continue resisting each other, then you're wasting your time with a fight while time is passing you by.
It says it right here to agree with thine adversary while you are in the way, which means while you are presently now in the way with this argument, agree, meaning to, bless the situation in seeing it as a better outcome than where it's going, But if you continue the argument, it's not going to become that, it's not going to have that outcome. So it's something that you have to visualize in mind by first becoming aware that that's where it is going. But if you stop yourself, visualize a perfect outcome, which is agreeing, to cease and desist from continuing this argument. Bless it in a way where the outcome you want to see is what you focus on. And like you say, turn the other cheek, as scripture says, and cut, whatever you have to do to cease and desist. And after that, it's because your emotions are caught up in the at the time, it causes you to persist. You find so once you stop, everybody's head clear. Because what them say, when you she said something about your ships comes in on a calm sea.
On a calm sea, yeah, man. If your mind is too convoluted and too much jumbling and going on your mind, and the sea is too rough, the sea of your consciousness, the sea of your mind, then the ship is out here loaded with all of your goods waiting to come in, but you
everything tossing and turning. Yeah.
Everything tossing and turning, you have to calm down the sea so that the ship can come in.
What a scripture with the disciples were on the sea, on the boat with Jesus, and said, Master, Master, we are going dead. The sea is rough, and Jesus gets up and say, oh, he have little faith. Well, is that the scripture? And and tell the sea to be calm, and the sea was calm immediately. Because remember, say the conscious mind. I'm sorry. Remember, say the 12 disciples is the conscious mind, and it is only the conscious mind that can be a rough sea. The subconscious mind does not know anything about rough seas.
No, but your conscious mind all over the place.
Your conscious mind all over the place. So that's why scripture tell you to cease or to be silent and to know that you are God. You can only know that you are God if you are at peace, if you're in a quiet space mentally.
You still know. Be still. Full stop. You have to be still first. Be still, get to the crossroads of your mind, right at the level of breath. when you're focusing on your breath, you can't focus on nothing else, brother. Be still, get right there, be still, and know.
Yeah.
That who is God, the one
That's
who
the
is
only
still.
time.
I am God, the one who. Right there, when you get to that place, you are the only being in existence. You see that breath? That breath is not for you and your twin brother. That breath is not for you and your son or your wife and your daughter. It's not for you and God. That breath is yours. When you at the place where people in Jamaica that say you stop your breath, like you swim. When you stop your breath, that next breath where you withstand, in that moment there is nobody else existing in your world except you. You are the one who needs that breath.
Yeah.
So you have come to a place called self. That's when you're still. Be still and know that who is God. The I am that is God in that moment. Who could that I am be? It could only be you. You are the only one there. Yeah. When you still your mind, the only being existing in that mind at that time is you. Be still and know that I am God. You. But it's only at a place of a still mind you get there. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. And I will say of the Lord is my refuge. What is that secret place of the Most High? That's the same stuff sign that I tell about. When you come for self, it's a hiding place. Be still and know. Perfect.
Yeah, man. It's a secret. It's a secret.
It's an ancient Chinese secret.
It's a secret of who you are. And you're always I am, you're always yourself. You just don't remember, you just don't know. You weren't taught that. You were taught that the self is what you can see. What you can see is just the self projecting in a manifestation, physical. It's just to experience yourself. It's like you write a movie, but in order to experience the movie, you have to hire actors to act out what you came up with in your mind so you can experience it externally. Until then, it's on the inside. Until then, it's just inside of a book, you know, that you wrote. So it has to be externalized on the screen somewhere, and you get to view it, laugh, cry, get mad, angry, whatever. All these different emotions will come out based on the way that you wrote the script. As we're saying here, life is a game. You can also say life is a script, life is a movie, and we're all actors on in this movie. And we're impromptu. It's an improv. We're improvising all the time. Changing character, changing our emotions, changing our intentions. It's on the fly. This is not pre-written, as we were told. All this foolishness. It is on the fly. It's freestyle, like they say in rap. We're freestyling our life. You understand? And since we know that we are the one freestyling, do it wisely. Because whatever you emote or, whatever you're feeling or thinking is going to be the next play, the next character or characteristics, you know? And so just write the things that you desire to experience and not the ones that you don't. And as she was saying, that if something is going awry, baptize it, meaning to give it the meaning that you desire to experience, rather than to curse it and to resist it. To curse something is to resist. It is a it's a skill, so to speak. Everything we're doing here, the mental plane, you have to be skillful. You have to be a marksman. Just like how you do externally with things, you have to become skillfully the same in mind. We're taught to be skillfully outwardly doing our work and whatnot, but we're never taught to be skillfully internally, mentally, not realizing that the mental plane externalizes and become the physical plane, you know? So therefore, the first thing to be skillful in is in your consciousness. First and foremost, as scripture tells you, seek ye first the kingdom of God, your consciousness. Uh-oh. There's something to unplug. Hold on, guys. What happened? All right, there it is. Oh, my computer was unplugged. Was dying for a little bit. Sorry about that. But seek you first the kingdom of God, which is your awareness, your higher, the Father, the super conscious. Go there first, and don't try to externalize things using your conscious mind. The conscious mind has no ability to externalize anything. The conscious mind is the actor, the one that is doing the act, but cannot project. You have to first write the play and then act it out, and you do that in mind. So we're just becoming wiser and better. Another thing here, she says to be like water. Water is the most powerful substance on the earth, and also the softest. There's nothing softer than water, but yet it can erode a rock or corrode a piece of iron. And it does not resist anything you put it on, in, around, on top of, anything you put on top of it. It just accepts everything as is. But it always remains the one that's victorious because it resists nothing. So our conscious mind is our problem. It is very rigid, not soft, not pliable. The subconscious mind is very pliable, non-resistance. So that's the mind that we have to act from, intensify, you know, and let it be, the one projecting and handling, all of our affairs. If we consciously try to do it all, that's where we run into problem. The only time you consciously do anything is, as Never say, when you're given divine action. You're put into places, circumstances, events, people, all these different things you will be actively engaged with, but it will be in a divine way. It's like waiting for the instruction, and you carry it out, following the instruction, not following your own. You cannot instruct anything as the conscious mind. You're only following. So when you try to do it yourself, you're resisting. You're trying to will it, trying to make it happen, and that's the issue with the conscious mind. So control your subconscious mind. It's your humble servant, but it's also a very dangerous master. She said something here. Every man is a golden link, meaning that everything that's happening, everyone that you engage with, see, talk with, get engaged in any manner, is all coming from you. So if it's a good conversation or a good exchange, it's coming from you. If it's a bad exchange, it's also coming from you. Nothing is coming from anywhere else. I am you and you are me. It is really that elementary. Focus on your divine right. When you're engaged in anything that you desire to experience, see it as your divine right or your birthright. Meaning to not question, can you have it? Should you have it? Am I qualified? I am, all these different negative internalization, thinking that you're not worthy, you're not qualified, you're not ready yet, all these different things. See it as, a present moment, a present no. The two robbers of time, the past and the future, as we said before. So everything is always no, and so we should always envision or internalize everything of such. No is the accepted time. And the last thing I'm going to touch on here is, she said to dig your ditches. Dig your ditches, meaning that when you desire something or you have an expectant, something incoming, something that you really, really desire, but you see no way of it happening. It's just a really, emotional desire that you have, something that you really, really want to have or experience or do and whatnot. But at the same time, you also are aware that there is just no possible way that you can see that happening right now. I have several of those things right now written down that I don't see the way or it's going to happen, but that's not for my conscious mind to see. These eyes are not supposed to see how it is going to happen. That's not my concern. So I write it down anyways. And I really don't know how it's going to happen, you know, but it's not my concern. So what do? Dig the ditch. It just means prepare as if it has already happened. It is to act in the now. Pretend. We had a topic we call let us pretend. We're pretending, as the song says, the great pretender, pretending that you are still around, the lady who had left him, you know? So you're pretending that this thing is around. You're pretending that this thing is here right now. You know, you're pretending everything is well, even when it doesn't look like it is. So it is an assumption when you dig your ditches. Because you dug it, something must fill it. We're always digging ditches, you know. It's funny. We're digging ditches that this is not going to happen. You're digging a ditch of resistance. You're digging a ditch of denial, of doubt. And so something must fill the ditches up. So whatever the ditch, whatever consciousness or nature in which you dug your ditch, that's what's going to fill it up. So in a sense, we are always digging ditches. So that's very tricky. So only dig the ditches consciously with what you really expect, regardless of what your five senses tell you. And then go into the Sabbath, meaning rest in only in that awareness that it is finished, it is well. The Sabbath is your pregnant state. And until you get pregnant, there is no birth, no expectant baby. So go on the Sabbath, leave it at that, and it will come on a day, in a way that you had no idea that it would, you know? So that's it right there for that chapter 4, the law of non-resistance, okay? So that being said, let's move on to chapter 5. I'm going to come right back.
The law of karma and the law of forgiveness. Man receives only that which he gives. The game of life is a game of boomerangs. Man's thoughts, deeds, and words return to him sooner or later with astounding accuracy. This is the law of karma, which is Sanskrit for comeback. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. For example, a friend told me this story of herself, illustrating the law. She said, I make all my karma on my aunt. Whatever I say to her, someone says to me. I'm often irritable at home, and one day said to my aunt, who was talking to me during dinner, no more talk, I wish to eat in peace. The following day, I was lunching with a woman with whom I wished to make a great impression. I was talking animatedly when she said, no more talk, I wish to eat in peace. My friend is high in consciousness, so her karma returns much more quickly than to one on the mental plane. The more a man knows, the more he is responsible for, and a person with a knowledge of spiritual law, which he does not practice, suffers greatly in consequence. The fear of the Lord, law, is the beginning of wisdom. If we read the word law, it will make many passages in the Bible much clearer. Vengeance is mine. I will repay, saith the Lord, law. It is the law which takes vengeance, not God. God sees man perfect, created in his own image, imagination, and given power and dominion. This is the perfect idea of man registered in divine mind, awaiting man's recognition. For man can only be what he sees himself to be, and only attain what he sees himself attaining. Nothing ever happens without an onlooker is an ancient saying. Man sees first his failure or success, his joy or sorrow, before it swings into visibility from the scene set in his own imagination. We have observed this in the mother picturing disease for her child, or a woman seeing success for her husband. Obedience precedes authority, and the law obeys man when he obeys the law. The law of electricity must be obeyed before it becomes man's servant. When handled ignorantly, it becomes man's deadly foe. So with the laws of mind. For example, a woman with a strong personal will wished she owned a house which belonged to an acquaintance, and she often made mental pictures of herself living in the house. In the course of time, the man died and she moved into the house. Several years afterwards, coming into the knowledge of spiritual law, she said to me, "Do you think I had anything to do with that man's death?" I replied, "Yes, your desire was so strong, everything made way for it. But you paid your karmic debt. Your husband, who you loved devotedly, died soon after, and the house was a white elephant on your hands for years." The original owner, however, could not have been affected by her thoughts, had he been positive in the truth, nor her husband, but they were both under karmic law. The woman should have said, feeling the great desire for the house, "Infinite intelligence, give me the right house, equally as charming as this, the house which is mine by divine right." The divine selection would have given perfect satisfaction and brought good to all. The divine pattern is the only safe pattern to work by. Desire is a tremendous force, and must be directed in the right channels, or chaos ensues. In demonstrating, the most important step is the first step, to ask aright. Man should always demand only that which is his by divine right. To go back to the illustration, had the woman taken this attitude, "If this house I desire is mine, I cannot lose it. If it is not, give me its equivalent," the man might have decided to move out harmoniously, had it been the divine selection for her, or another house would have been substituted. Anything forced into manifestation through personal will is always ill-got, and has ever bad success. Man is admonished, "My will be done, not thine," and the curious thing is man always gets just what he desires when he does relinquish personal will, thereby enabling infinite intelligence to work through him. For example, a woman came to me in great distress. Her daughter had determined to take a very hazardous trip, and the mother was filled with fear. She said she had used every argument, had pointed out the dangers to be encountered, and forbidden her to go. But the daughter became more and more rebellious and determined. I said to the mother, "You are forcing your personal will upon your daughter, which you have no right to do, and your fear of the trip is only attracting it, for man attracts what he fears." I added, "Let go and take your mental hands off. Put it in God's hands and use this statement. I put this situation in the hands of infinite love and wisdom. If this trip is the divine plan, I bless it and no longer resist. But if it is not divinely planned, I give thanks that it is now dissolved and dissipated." A day or two after that, her daughter said to her, "Mother, I have given up the trip," and the situation returned to its native nothingness. It is learning to stand still, which seems so difficult for man. I have dealt more fully with this law in the chapter on non-resistance. I will give another example of sowing and reaping, which came in the most curious way. A woman came to me saying she had received a counterfeit $20 bill given to her at the bank. She was much disturbed, for, she said, the people at the bank will never acknowledge their mistake. I replied, "Let us analyze the situation and find out why you attracted it." She thought a few moments and exclaimed, "I know it. I sent a friend a lot of stage money just for a joke. So the law had sent her some stage money, for it doesn't know anything about jokes." I said, "Now we will call on the law of forgiveness and neutralize the situation." So I said, "Infinite Spirit, we call on the law of forgiveness and give thanks that she is under grace and not under law and cannot lose this $20, which is hers by divine right. Now," I said, "go back to the bank and tell them fearlessly that it was given to you there by mistake." She obeyed, and to her surprise, they apologized and gave her another bill, treating her most courteously. So knowledge of the law gives man power to rub out his mistakes. Man cannot force the external to be what he is not. If he desires riches, he must be rich first in consciousness. For example, a woman came to me asking treatment for prosperity. She did not take much interest in her household affairs, and her home was in great disorder. I said to her, "If you wish to be rich, you must be orderly. All men with great wealth are orderly, and order is heaven's first law." I added, "You will never become rich with a burnt match in the pincushion." She had a good sense of humor and commenced immediately putting her house in order. She arranged furniture, straightened out bureau drawers, cleaned rugs, and soon made a big financial demonstration. a gift from a relative. The woman herself became made over and keeps herself keyed up financially by being ever watchful of the external and expecting prosperity, knowing God is her supply. Many people are in ignorance of the fact that gifts and things are investments, and that hoarding and saving invariably leads to loss. There is that scattereth and yet increaseth, and there is that withholdeth more than is meet, but it tendeth to poverty. For example, I knew a man who wanted to buy a fur-lined overcoat. He and his wife went to various shops, but there was none he wanted. He said they were all too cheap-looking. At last he was shown one. The salesman said was valued at $1,000, but which the manager would sell him for $500, as it was late in the season. His financial possessions amounted to about $700. The reasoning mind would have said, "You can't afford to spend nearly all you have on a coat." But he was very intuitive and never reasoned. He turned to his wife and said, "If I get this coat, I'll make a ton of money." So his wife consented, weakly. About a month later, he received a $10,000 commission. The coat made him feel so rich, it linked him with success and prosperity. Without the coat, he would not have received the commission. It was an investment, paying large dividends. If man ignores these leadings to spend or to give, the same amount of money will go in an uninteresting or unhappy way. For example, a woman told me on Thanksgiving Day she informed her family that they could not afford a Thanksgiving dinner. She had the money, but decided to save it. A few days later, someone entered her room and took from the bureau drawer the exact amount that dinner would have cost. The law always stands back of the man who spends fearlessly with wisdom. For example, one of my students was shopping with her little nephew. The child clamored for a toy, which she told him she could not afford to buy. She realized suddenly that she was seeking lack and not recognizing God as her supply. So she bought the toy and on her way home, picked up in the street the exact amount of money she had paid for it. Man's supply is inexhaustible and unfailing when fully trusted, but faith or trust must precede the demonstration. According to your faith, be it unto you. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. For faith holds the vision steady, and the adverse pictures are dissolved and dissipated, and in due season we shall reap if we faint not. Jesus Christ brought the good news, the gospel, that there was a higher law than the law of karma, and that the law transcends the law of karma. It is the law of grace, or forgiveness. It is the law which frees man from the law of cause and effect, the law of consequence, under grace and not under law. We are told that on this plane man reaps where he has not sown. The gifts of God are simply poured out upon him. All that the kingdom affords is his. This continued state of bliss awaits the man who has overcome the race, or world, thought. In the world thought there is tribulation, but Jesus Christ said, "Be of good cheer, I have overcome the world." The world thought is that of sin, sickness, and death. He saw their absolute unreality and said sickness and sorrow shall pass away and death itself, the last enemy, be overcome. We know now from a scientific standpoint that death could be overcome by stamping the subconscious mind with the conviction of eternal youth and eternal life. The subconscious, being simply power without direction, carries out orders without questioning. Working under the direction of the superconscious, the Christ or God within man, the resurrection of the body would be accomplished. Man would no longer throw off his body in death. It would be transformed into the body electric, sung by Walt Whitman, for Christianity is founded upon the forgiveness of sins and an empty tomb. This ends chapter 5.
All right. What a wonderful chapter that was. Chapter 5. The law of karma and forgiveness. There's a reason why she put both of those together. The law of karma and forgiveness. Sorry to you, what you say about that one day? The law of karma. In Sanskrit, it means come back, boomerang. So karma simply means boomerang, but let me make a statement real fast, Sarah T. You know, sir, every time we use the word karma, it's always in a negative connotation. You realize that?
Right. Yeah, because we have been taught to believe that your karma is your repayment for evil. No, karma is good. What the Sanskrit piece where it's saying it's to come back, right?
Come back is a boomerang. It means to
That's the
come back.
Sanskrit term.
Sanskrit, yeah.
Yeah, it's the boomerang. So if you see whether it be good or evil, it's your karma.
Yes.
And karma is a real thing. It's just not an evil thing.
No, nothing is evil
Karma is
about
a real
karma.
thing, Karma and forgiveness.
It's a
Karma
law.
and forgiveness, both of them are exactly.
It's a law.
It's a law.
Yeah.
It's a law. It cannot be traced up about law. I've said it many times on this program. A law cannot be broken. A law is not something that thou shalt not do. It's not a thou shalt not do. It's a thou canst not. When a thing is a law, you cannot. Thou canst not. It's not thou shalt not. If you can break it, then it was never a law. If you can break it, then it was never a law. So you see, thou shalt not kill. You see, thou shalt not kill. The part where it doesn't say enough kill, which is physically kill a man.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can do it, man. Obviously, you can do it because man do it all the time.
Yeah.
But there's a part of it that thou canst not. The true man of the man, thou canst not kill it. You cannot kill the true man of that man. Let's say you did kill. Let's say a man did kill Bob man. Let's say a non-natural cause he died. Let's say it was a man that he killed. Did that man truly kill him?
No.
Everywhere you look, everywhere you turn, you must still see man here. Everywhere you Bob Marley has been dead for longer than he was ever alive. He was alive for 36 years. That man's been dead for 44 years. Longer than he was ever alive. You still hear about him and see him every day. So the true essence of who that man is, did you kill him? No, you didn't kill him. So the part I do tell us that thou shalt not kill him. Because if you kill him, we put you in a jail. And this and that and that. Man kill man all the time. So that is not a law. If it was a law, it would have never been broken as a rule. But it's not a law.
That would have been a better way to bring about that awareness, as you're saying. It's in itself, thou shalt not.
Yeah.
Thou canst not. Thou cannot.
Yeah.
It's not possible to break the law of awareness, consciousness. You understand? Because it is you, the operant power. You know what I'm saying? Say, you cannot hide anything from God. It's because that God is your consciousness. If you have any awareness at any time, if you
what is the law said, you know what the sinner said, thou shalt not hide anything from God. It says you cannot. You cannot.
You know, and that's only because the Lord is you.
Consciousness is a full. Yeah, consciousness is a full circle. It's a 360 coverage. It's a full circle, so you can't return with half of the circle. The whole thing has to come back. You can't escape no part of it.
Yeah.
You can't sow and not reap. You cannot reap what you didn't sow. You understand what I'm saying? You cannot sow and not reap. Neither can you reap what you didn't sow. It's a full circle.
Yeah.
And now thou shalt not do that, thou canst not do it.
Yeah. That's a better way to bring it about. Thou canst not, which means you cannot. Can't do it. It's not possible. Because it is a law that is universal. It's not a law that is made up. This law has no beginning, no end. It wasn't written. It wasn't born. It wasn't brought in front of 9 judges or 7 judges or whatever number of judges and debate and say, all right, we're going to go with this law. These laws have no beginning. They just are. You understand?
It cannot be repealed.
That's why I can't break
It cannot be repealed. It cannot be amended. It wasn't a tribunal of men that sat together and come up with that agreement. Now every man comes sit away and try as you make, can never go no other way. So that's what a law is. All right, you breathe out. Before long, you're gonna have to breathe in. Otherwise, you have to take your hell out of here. The law. You can't go around it.
Yeah.
It's a law of respiration. It's simple like that. Mm-hmm. You breathe out, you're gonna quickly have to breathe another one in. You can't go around
it. The circle.
The full circle. And you can't come back with half a circle, you have to breathe about the whole thing.
The whole thing.
Calm, it's a calm law.
Exactly. So we just want to point that out because we've been conditioned to, you always hear people say it, what goes around comes around. So them always use it in a negative sense, not realizing that it's the same with all your good deeds. You understand? So we've been conditioned, trained to, it's almost like a curse. If somebody did something or does something, you say, you use that terminology, you come and go reach up. Because we don't realize that it is not anything that is good. It doesn't mean good or bad. It just means whatever goes out comes back in. Your ships can't come back in unless they went out. You know? Something has to go out. You have to give to receive. That's karma. You have to plant the seed in the earth for the earth to grow the tree. That's karma. Whatever goes in comes right back out. Okay? Whatever goes in comes back. And as you can see, in many cases, it comes back multiplied. You plant a seed and you get a tree that reproduces the same seed from which it came. This is why in scripture, Jesus said, I am in the Father and the Father is in me. You know, the seed, the tree is in the seed. And when the tree grows, now the seed is in the tree. It's a circle. It's a karmic circle.
The cow in the calf and the calf. The cow in the calf and the calf in the cow.
Yes.
The cow is in the calf because the more cow come through, the calf will come reproduce more cows. Whether the calf is high for a bull. You're going to need the calf to continue.
Either sex to do it.
Don't matter. If you have a God, if you have a God that is not inside of you, then you need a different God. If your God is not within you and you are within that God, then I don't know what you're doing. The man must be within the God and the God is within the man because you need both people. Without man, people say it all the time, God, you didn't need us. So where they are. Without man, there is no God, and without God, there is no man. It's a full circle thing. So if you have a God that's different from you, then you're outside of the circle. You're outside because everything is the same. Everything reproduces after its own time.
Yeah.
The son, you say you are the son of God. Isn't the son of a pig a pig? Isn't the son of a sheep a sheep? Isn't the son of a cat a cat? The son of God, not of God. It's a simple analogy.
Right? The tree produces another tree. Does it not? You ever see a tree produce a carrot?
When the guinea tree, exactly. The guinea tree now brings the guinea will drop off of the tree and nobody plants it. Drop off of the tree and drop under the tree and some sucker start grow. I don't want pear sucker. Yes. I don't want pear tree go grow there. It's a guinea tree go grow there. It can only represent after its own kind. It can only reproduce after its own kind. And that's how everything is.
So everything is. Didn't Jesus say, I'm going to my Father and unto
And
your
your Father.
Father,
Yes.
unto my God and unto your God?
Good. So anything Jesus is, you must be exactly the same because they're your sibling. If me and you have the same father, so we're siblings. So anything in you, you must be the same thing.
He's always saying brethren, right?
Yeah.
He's always saying
analogy,
brethren.
the Jesus representation in the scripture, in the whole parable of the scripture, is not to show you how great a brethren named Jesus was in. It's to show you how great you are, because whatsoever he is, you are. It's everything we tell us that Jesus do. Everything that he tell you that Jesus was able to do, it is telling you that you can do. If Jesus could have turned water into wine, it was not a literal thing. If Jesus can turn water into wine, you can turn water into wine in your world. So water being information, knowledge. You can turn your knowledge into wine, into a beautiful experience.
Can you walk on water, sir? Anybody here can walk on water?
The literal Jesus couldn't do it either, and we can't do it either. But we can walk on water. Water being wisdom, water being information. You can walk on that. You can use it as a bridge to walk over the deepest precipice.
Yeah, you use information to build a bridge from this point to that point. So you're walking on the knowledge that adjoins or attaches, you to the thing you desire. But a literal water, if scripture says these things that I do, you can do that and even more. So how many see nobody walk on water yet?
Yes, still may not see nobody do none of what Jesus does. He said you are supposed to do more. Not only are we not doing more, we are not doing none. What he did, none. We not see no man attack to us, no real thing in the middle of our thing and tell it to be quiet and sit still. And if him did it, you supposed to do it. I can do at least one man should be able to do it. Nobody can. You know, you have something wrong with that equation. Yeah.
I've seen people invent things like airplane and build skyscrapers and cars and computers. I've seen people done that. So that is the water they turn into wine. That is the thing that they did. That's the wine, and the water was the knowledge, the awareness of the thing that they did. So yes, we are doing greater things than Jesus. He never made no airplane or anything that we have today. He's just telling you that your consciousness will grow. So that's why you're going to end up doing more things than even he did.
The literal Jesus would not know what to do with an iPhone if you hand him one.
Yeah, he would ask you, what is this?
And a man will it.
Yeah. So if we are doing these things, I don't see a phone falling out the sky. I see rain fall out the sky, but I've never seen anything that we have here fall out the sky. It was made here by man, male and female. You understand? So it must be, and if all things are made by him, to use that pronoun, nothing is made. Say all things are made by God, and without him, there is nothing made that was made. So how are we still making anything if only God can make things? God don't even know if he make a car or a house or anything like that. But we do. You understand? Huh?
That's your start, man.
Yeah. so
the God that can create all things, both the things that have already been created, will come into physical existence, and the ones that are yet to come into to existence.
Mhm.
The God that is pregnant with all of those future coming is consciousness. All of those already exist in consciousness. Those are within consciousness already, waiting for somebody to give it human parentage and bring it forward into physical reality.
We are the portal.
And it's gonna take somebody, some humankind. Nothing else now bring forth nothing from here. Human being.
We are the portal.
Our things coming upon the earth.
Yes. It has to come to us. We're the portal. A child can only come to a man, that being a woman. You understand? A child can't come anywhere else. You ever see a child fall out of the sky? We don't see a child floating around in space.
Yeah.
It requires human parentage to bring forth that child. And it requires human parentage to bring forth the airplane, the car, the cell phone, the television, the clothes, anything. It requires human parentage to bring forth. We are the portal. Sir Marlon, are you that?
Yeah, man. I mean, man. Grand Rising, blessed love.
Grand Rising, sir.
Yes, brother, yes.
Yeah, man. Hey, you remember when we were picking and we used to watch the cartoon them, the futuristic cartoon them like George Jetson and them something there with, flying car and them something there and all them thing there.
I
Remember them
thought
thing there?
cartoon.
Yeah, man. All right, but none of them something never come true, None of them things never come true. All right. Remember Nikola Tesla. We talk about him many times in this place. Nikola Tesla come with certain theories. But no, Elon Musk come and make certain things happen. Not just Elon Musk, but just for all intents and purposes. You see me and David? Just to show you, say, the thing that in a way, the thing is in us, cause Elon Musk was, a lot of people say he was, not Elon Musk, Nikola Tesla. A lot of people say he was before his time with the technology, the abilities we have, the things way that he wanted to bring online.
Oh, he's
But
the one that came up with alternating current. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah, definitely. A lot of the technologies right now that we are partaking of it was um theorized by Nikola Tesla. And not just theory, him actually prove it in that time to be, Matter of fact, at one point in time, him talk about the power grid, the power meridians throughout the earth. Him say the earth is full of energy flowing in and out like a grid all around it. It's just to have the ability to tap into it.
Yes.
And
Sir
they
Marlon,
actually, eh?
question, not to interrupt food up, but that energy that is flowing, I wonder in what pattern it is flowing. Is it flowing from latitude to latitude or from longitude to
No, no,
latitude?
no.
In a circular pattern, not all. In a
Based
circular
upon,
pattern, not all.
Yeah, man.
yeah,
Because
man,
it's
based upon,
magnetic.
yeah, yeah,
It's
I just,
magnetic.
I just, I just, I just start that in to show you the relevance and the importance and the compulsion of the same karmic thing we are talking about. Circular
yeah.
pattern. Everything go around and come around. Everything
All right.
round.
And guess
Yeah,
what?
or you think your Wi-Fi works, RT? Your Wi-Fi work right toward the house, right?
Yeah.
If it wasn't a linear
Wow.
direction, we would have to be right there and
Correct.
wherever it is pointing for it to be received. But anywhere in the house you go, or even outside the house, it is a broad band. That's what they call it. It's broad. It circles. It goes out in a
Right.
circle.
Right.
So wherever you are, you pick it up.
But guess what now? Just like I said earlier, you understand? All things were made and by him. And if he never make all things, nothing wouldn't be made. But he was still there here and do all these great things. That's what I'm bringing up the point, that
Yeah.
Nikola Tesla even come and theorize a lot of things that are manifesting physically today by others who take that theory. You understand?
Yeah.
Because it's not hidden. It is not hidden. You understand? And I make things that happen. So,
Because what we have to realize is that the genius of Nikola Tesla, it's not gone nowhere. It has to be here somewhere.
there it is.
Somebody captivated the genius. When a genius leaves, he doesn't take the genius with him.
There it is.
No, he doesn't take the genius with him. That energy, that whatever that made him a genius, that is still resident right here for somebody else to fall into that state. So that's why what Nikola Tesla started, Elon Musk would have come finish it. And it's not finished yet.
Exactly.
And it's not finished yet. That's why I know that there is no end to this thing. You see, everything where we they attack in 2025 attack about God can do it. Well, we now know better. But things that people are talking about unless God can do it and only God can do it. Give them a little time and invite human beings right in front of them.
They're not gonna do it, brother. They're not gonna do it same. But them no, but if we tell them say I gotta do it in the way it I done, them now go accept it away the stuff. For their purpose. You see me I did. I gotta do it same way. I got been doing it and I gotta say I do it. But who is God? All of
I
us.
said I have to say that if the literal, if the Jesus was as literal as they made him to be, that there was actually a literal man named Jesus. I don't doubt that there was a man named Jesus or whatever language them
Yeah,
talk.
they could have been, yeah.
Yeah, there could have been. I don't doubt that there was one, a master that had that name, and that the story is written about him, and they embellish the story to make it look like a literal thing. But what I will tell you is that literal master was here. The genius of that master did not leave with him when he leave. It there see him. When Bruce Lee died, Kung Fu never died. Man come from better him. Man come from better him.
But my man, the writings when put in, the writings that is there, it never, same say, but better how so I catch up. Him say, all what me I do, no can do,
Yeah, because there's only one man. There
Exactly.
really is only one man. If you have to come to the oneness of yourself to realize that you're one with all things. When you come to the singleness of self, the oneness of yourself, you're gonna realize that you exist in a lonely world. So if you get what I'm saying, you're gonna realize when you come down to the singleness of self, it's only you. So everything else that you see must be some variation of you. Because you can't single in yourself in a world where it's only you. Yet you open your eyes and you see everything else. So where did everything else confirmation come from you? If you are not a part of the world here, everything is you. You are the one who is aware of it. Take your awareness away from it. Does it exist? No, it doesn't. Put your awareness back to it. Does it exist now? Yes, it does. So in awareness, you are one with everything.
Always one, and you're always increasing in awareness. All of us have different awareness of things. That's why we have so many different variations of even the same thing. We have a car, but there are variations of them because one man see a Tesla, one man see a Mercedes, one man see a BMW, and they want to drive a particular way. We're all designing um, our desire, you know.
So circle. If we are one with everything, I'm just doing it to practical these people in the structure. If we are one with everything, do we all agree that based on the reason, do we all agree that on some level we are one with everything? Do we all agree with that?
Yes,
Circle,
Yeah,
you
man,
agree with it?
natural. Natural.
Everybody come on and agree. Everybody in the chat, everybody, do we agree that on some level we are one with everything that we are conscious of?
yes, have to
So
be.
my question is going to be then: if we are one with everything, are we one with poverty?
If we're one with it, yes,
We are.
yes,
We are one with poverty.
yes,
Are we one with? Are we also one with abundance?
yes,
Why do you experience one and not the other? Then? If you are one with more, why do you experience one rather than the other?
because that's the one we are aware of being.
Okay. That's the point I want you. You are just as likely to, and I'm talking naturally, and no weird circumstances, just a natural flow of life. You are just as likely to lose your job and find yourself homeless in 6 months. Just as that is likely to happen, it is just as likely for you to find yourself to be a billionaire. But you know what? We more believe that we could lose our job and lose your house and you can't everything in 6 months than we believe that you could become a billionaire in 6 months. And that is why the farmer of the two statements I make is the one that we feel that I mean, I say you, we. That's why that is the one that we experience because we think it's harder to. We think one is harder and we think the other one is easier, and the universe believes you. The subconscious mind believes you. Whichever one you think is easier, then the subconscious mind believes you that that's the one that is easier. So it allows you to experience that one easier.
Yeah.
So we change that.
Which is telling you you're the operant power. Which is telling you right there you're the operant power. In other words, you know, if you plant a seed, right? If you plant a seed, you are a farmer and you've done it many times. There's never a time that you plant a seed that you're going to be wondering if it is going to grow. Now, this is something that you've done all the time. If there was a time when you stopped planting seeds, stop farming for whatever reason, when you return to farming again, you have the same knowledge and expectancy that whatever you plant is going to grow. But if it is someone who have never done it, and you plant a seed, you might dig the seed back up, saying that, why is it taking so long to grow? I planted the seed 2 days ago, 2 weeks ago, and till now I haven't seen anything return. That's because you are not knowledgeable or you don't have that awareness. You don't know what to expect. You're not certain in the return, in the boomerang effect. You're not certain in the karmic principle of the seed. But a farmer is. So what am I saying? And I think it's the next chapter she's going to mention that. Unless she mentioned it already, but she was saying that you cannot do or be more than you are conscious of. In other words, until you're conscious of being a particular thing, when you start to desire that thing, it doesn't mean you're conscious of being it. You're only conscious of it. That's the difference. You're conscious of the seed, but you have no consciousness of the art of farming and how long it takes for things to manifest or to return. And so you operate in such an ignorant fashion. But if you understand, it's because you are being the farmer. You already have that knowledge. You are in that awareness of being a farmer. And so when you plant a seed, it's no problem to you. You plant it and just walk away with perfect knowingness that it must return. Your job was to plant the seed, the sunshine, the rainfall, or you can give it water manually on your own, but you don't have to shine the sun. It shines on its own. And that's it. And the earth grows the fruit or the seed. So to be conscious of something is not conscious of being it. And that is the problem, Sir T. Until you're conscious of being something that you're conscious of, it's not going to happen. That's where it's at.
You use that term. You use that term earlier. You said when after the farmer has done the farming for a while and planted it, next time he plants it, he has this assurance that it's coming true. Assurance, ASSU. Which other words start like that? ASSU.
Assumptions.
You say law of assumption. You see as it relates to humanity, mankind, me and you know, them. As far as it relates to us, the most powerful law in existence for mankind to utilize is the law of assumption. Assumption. Really, when you assume a thing, you have an assurance about
That's what it is.
And it is that assurance that's going to bring it forward. You ever feel the manifest assurance? 32. Honestly, anybody. Show it out to anybody. If you feel to manifest, you may sure, man. Every time you feel sure. I remember as a youth, in grade five, you come and entrance. I remember when I go do the common entrance. I remember the first you do grade 5 to grade 6. A grade 5 and grade 6 students at the common entrance. I was in grade 5. And when you go in at the test of the morning and do the test and come out, I was a little youth. I was just 10. And when I come out, I think, remember me said to my virgin and say, when the result they come out, you do the exam January and the results will come out June. So when the exam they come out and you're in a class, me and me shop. I remember throughout, February, March, April, every day the man never find play field and the man was saying, remember, anyway, you don't pass, you have to me and your shop, Me say, any me not pass, me and me shop, dad. It's an assurance, why? Because me do the test, me go back over, me answer them, me sure that they're right. Me know, me sure. It's
No
an
guess.
assurance.
No, eeny, miny, mo.
No. So, it's the same thing with an assumption. Just when you assume say a thing is so, you ever have somebody accuse you of doing something yet? You know say you're not doing it. But based on the person's reaction to you, you know say the person is not just accusing you. That person actually feels sure that I did this thing, that I know that I didn't do. The person is assuming say you do it, and them feel so sure say you do it that something is gonna have to convince them. You can't convince them. One sign of you convince them for themselves. You know, MC say you didn't do it.
Yes.
Because they are so strong in that assurance. And then the kind of people that will put your person for you and go, you see that? So that's how we have to assume and be assured of the wish fulfilled. The feeling of the wish fulfilled. The feeling of it feels so sure. You have to feel so confident that even when I've never seen I got topsy-turvy in the world. You're in such ecstasy about the way that you see your thing coming true. Well, not about them. You listen to Vibe Cartel interview them and them ask him at any point did you feel down and give up? The man said no, at no point I never give up. No, I don't know if he's guilty or not guilty or whatever, but the fact of the matter is the man was assured in himself, he must choose him free. Did it cost him a lot of money? Yes. But guess how the universe works now? How the law of assumption works. It no matter how much money it will cost you come out. You go have that money there. You go have it, they'll come from somewhere.
Yeah.
It's gonna come from somewhere. They will have to turn upside down to make the assumption come true. Have to come true.
Yep.
And he didn't have to go in search of the right liar. And he didn't have to go in search of no. The law of assumption tracks the right people into the circle. Because the circle big and wide, and the circle encompass everyone in my father's house, everything. And the universe, the law of assumption know which two factors to multiply together to bring it together fast. You don't have to know.
Yeah,
How much money you think it takes?
What's the survey?
How much money you think it takes to make you turn into a billionaire in 6 months?
Leave prison and turn a billionaire?
Yes. How much people, how much money you think it takes for that to happen? You only take for you to have an encounter with one right person, and that one right person connected to 3 other right person. All it takes is one encounter. Well, the law of assumption knows how to naturally bring you into encounter with that one person that you have that one conversation. You won't even realize that you're on a bridge of incident leading you for that. You will just naturally go about your business. Naturally, there's somewhere and somebody just naturally come and talk to you, and for some reason, here comes that business plan, and but me not have the money to start the business. No, man, I will front the money for you. Simple enough.
Yeah.
You have to just assume the end. If you can assume the end and hold on to that assumption, the means, if I hear them say everything I think is a means to an end, you hold on to the end. You can't figure out. allow the law of assumption to figure out the meaning. The minute you start thinking about the meaning, you're out of the circle. That's it.
Yeah. Being the thing, is paramount, not just desiring the thing, but you have to be it. The divine name, the Hebrew came up with this divine name for God, for consciousness. Yod He Vav He. The Yod is the one desiring, the He is the desire, the Vav is the part of the consciousness that attaches the thing desired to the one desiring. And then the last He is that desire manifested, physical. Let's go over it again. So you have the Yod, the one desiring, and the He is the desire. But the third part, it is you being the thing you desired. When you start to be the thing desired, it is attached to you. You have crucified it to yourself or yourself to it. Either way, you have joined your awareness to the thing you are aware of. When you become adjoined to the thing you are aware of, it means that you are aware of being it. That's why you are attached to it. It's like putting on your clothes. Doesn't your clothes take the shape of your body? Until then, it's just a clothes. It's just sitting in the closet. It just look normal. But once you put it on you, you are now being the clothes. You no longer see your body. You forgot that you're naked on the other side of the clothes. All you see is the clothing, the thing desired. That's all you see. You are now being it because it is now on you. Until then, you only desire it. But you cannot leave it at desiring. You have to be the thing that you desire. That's the only time you're going to see it for what it is, or to see it manifested. So I just want to throw that out there. Let's go over a few things and we're going to move on to the final chapter of today's lesson, chapter 6, which is casting the burden, and pressing the subconscious. Basically saying that's cast your burden on the Lord. Okay, as I say. So we're going to go over that soon, but let's go over this real quickly. It says, the fear of the Lord is the fear of the Lord is when you have gained wisdom. But Percy thought it means to be afraid of the Lord. Don't use that word afraid. I would say becoming knowledgeable of the law of consciousness, awareness, that it is a boomerang, it is a law of karma. And so when you know that's how it works, you will imagine wisely rather than unwisely. Because if you imagine unwisely, that is also going to come back at you. So that's what it means to fear the law. It is to basically say, respect how the law is, how the law works. It is respecter of no persons, and it works exactly how you work it. Okay? It works exactly how you work it. So when they wrote the Bible, they kind of wrote it like that to emphasize the importance of understanding the law. I believe that's why they use that word fear. But don't go around looking up in the sky, being afraid that lightning and thunder is going to hit you if you say or do something so-called bad. Okay? No, it is your very own consciousness that you're supposed to be aware of, that it is respecter of no person, including yourself, and as within, so without. As you think, so you will experience or externalize. That's all that really means. The fear of the law. And life is a boomerang. Okay? Divine selection or pattern or divine pattern is the right way to desire, meaning only use your divine selection by saying the thing you desire, it is a divine or a birthright. That's all it really means right there. It is your birthright. So see it as already done. See it as already something happening now, or as happened, past tense as well. I remember when you can see it as that, and know that it is a divine selection, meaning that it is coming to you through you, and it is coming to you by way of your subconscious mind, which is the part of you that they call God, the subconscious. Okay, because it is the only creative mind within you. It is what creates everything that you experience. Ask or write. That term just means to request in the way that aligns with your desire. So what is it saying? Don't say, I desire to make $100,000 this year if you're only making 60 or 70, and then you start looking at, I don't see how I'm going to do that. The economy is slowing down, the job is reducing my hours, and I see people getting fired left and right. Maybe I'm next. All these different thoughts you might be having, you are not in alignment with your desire. Your desire is to make 100,000, and you're there worried about your hours being cut, or people getting fired, or the economy this and the economy that. Did you know that people are going to become very, very wealthy in this very same economy? Very wealthy. So if it was the economy, nobody could be wealthy. It's got to be the individuals, your consciousness. You might end up losing that job, as I did mine, with that same mindset. However, losing the job is not the end all be all. Sometimes when you lose, you gain. So you put yourself in a better situation. So when I got let go from my job so many years ago, almost 2 decades ago, I found myself in a better place. You understand? Even though I had a negative expectation or a negative outcome, considering it was at the time the market was like this, or even worse. And I said to myself, I'm next. I can see it. I saw it coming. And one day, walked in, and it happened. Man gets what man sees. Okay? So a lot of things I tell you guys in perfect examples of my own self.
So, Chris, you were saying I'm next in line for my lesson. Not lesson like SSON, SSEN. you, you experience exactly that.
That's right. I got less.
Yeah, you got less. You're next in line,
Yeah.
but it's what you expect. It's
Yeah.
life comes down to your expectation, man. It's your what satisfies one man does not satisfy the other man, and that's the whole difference between man A and man B. It's what satisfies you. Because the hunger must be fed, The hunger must be fed, You ever hear them say, close mouth don't get fed, and the one hungry up, I get fed. Yeah, if you're truly hungry for your thing, you gotta the thing is gonna open up itself to you, and it's gonna come to you. It's gonna come to you. It's people talk and make comparisons all the time when they compare Peter and Bob, Peter Tosh and Bob Marley, and Peter was just way more talented than he was. Yeah, how much did he want it? He would want it like how Bob wanted it. How much did you? It's not about everybody talented, Again, Usain Bolt said when he first came on the when he say in high school, in school, primary school, high school, all the way up to boys champs. He said it was just so easy for him. He had never lost a race. Then he became 16 years old, start to go pro. He start running on the Grand Prix circuit, running against adults now. All of a sudden, he start lose. And he said, I asked him, coach, what happened? Coach said to him, said, everything that you've done so far, you did on strict talent. You were just way more talented than those other kids in school. But on this level that you're at now, everybody is talented. And the one who's gonna dominate is the one who wants it the most. How badly do you want it? How hungry are you? That was the difference between Usain Bolt and Asafa Powell. Asafa Powell was breaking world records before Usain Bolt ever did.
Yeah.
But how badly did he want it? Did Asafa just satisfy with being a man who would go on the Grand Prix, win some races, and maybe break a world record in that process? Or do you want to be the greatest ever? Do you want to win 3 Olympics in a row back to back? That's what Bolt wanted.
Yeah.
And he said the minute he made that
Yeah.
decision, he told himself everything that he was going to do, is this going to help me become in name of 3 man that he wanted to be like? He said, is this going to make me legendary like Muhammad Ali, Pele, or Michael Jordan? Is it going to make, and every decision that he made, he would think about it. Going out tonight with them guys, is that going to help me to become like them Monday? And if it was not going to help him, he would not make that decision. Every decision he made from that, the man become obsessed with the idea, like how Kobe became obsessed with becoming Michael Jordan.
Mhm.
Nothing not stop him from becoming it. If you're obsessed with it, nothing can. How hungry are you? How badly do you want it?
So he was being the thing that he was obsessed with.
Yes, he was being the thing in the process of becoming it. He was being it in the process of becoming it. He later became it. But while he was becoming it, he was being it in himself. In other words, when Kobe was in high school, eventually Kobe became Michael Jordan. You know?
Yes.
But when he was in high school, I think you could have tell him, say, man, when he was going to Lower Merion High in Philadelphia before he even got drafted,
He
you
was
think you
already
could tell
Michael
him, say,
Jordan.
man, if you did ask him Van them time, them tell us him better than Michael.
Yes.
He would have tell us
Yeah.
him better than him. And him not just say it, him believes him better than him. That's
Yeah.
how he eventually became him.
Yes.
You see it because you believe it.
Man gets what he sees, not sees with your eyes, but sees with your eye, your
What you see is
imagination.
what you see is what you get, man.
What you see is what you get. You know, that's why we always get what we see inside. It never fails. The apple don't fall far from the tree. You're the tree. The apple is what you see. You understand? Don't fall far from the tree. So it has to manifest somehow, materialize, show proof, of what you're internalizing or worrying about and so on and so forth. So yeah, man, ask her right. Align with your desire. That's what it means. Align your thinking. All right. You desire to make the money. If it's not happening, no, don't worry. Stick to your desire. Align with it. And the job may change, or you might um, start a business somewhere, somehow. You don't know it's going to happen. And you make that 100,000. So you have to stay in alignment with your desire, regardless of what's happening with the economy. Do not pay that no mind. All right? Zero attention to that. Energy goes where attention goes, right? Energy flows where attention goes. So if you attend to stuff like that, you're being a shepherd to wolves, and that does not work out right. A shepherd cannot attend to wolves. All right, attend to sheep's, meaning the thoughts that you control. Okay, sheep's are what you control, or allow you to control them. Your thoughts, you control them. When you don't, they become wolves and eat you up. Be orderly. Put your house in order. Your house is your awareness, your consciousness. I know she used the example of the lady arranging her home a certain way, which also is does work. They call it feng shui. So if things are in a certain location or pattern or whatnot, it allows your mind to be clear because you're flowing. If the place is jumbled up, your mind is going to be the same way. All right. So that does help. But the real house we're talking about here is your awareness. Your conscious mind is the head of the household. Your conscious mind has to be in order, has to be disciplined. Okay? Has to be disciplined. Cannot believe in two powers. Can't look at the economy and then you have a desire and say the economy has control over that. No. Only pay attention to the one power, your desire. As far as you're concerned, it is the only thing that exists or has any power, your desire. The minute you start looking at the economy, you're doomed because now you believe in two powers. You are eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Only eat from the tree of life. Okay? The tree of life is your heaven, kingdom of heaven. Okay? Eat from that. Everything exists there and manifests here. But you have to go there first. Seek ye first, right? And it says, I wrote down, use money as an investment, not as spending. So when we are buying anything, don't see it as spending, see it as investing. What is it? You're buying a food, you're investing in your health. You know, it is nutrition. But because you see it as investing, you're not, when you invest, don't you expect a return? When you spend, you expect no return. You think the money is just gone. But when you invest, you expect a multiplication, you expect a return or ROI, return on your investment. So you have to use money the same way. Invest. You know what investment means? The word means mind. That goes over everybody's head. And the word vest means to possess. All right? So you're possessing something within your own mind. That's all it really means. It starts internally. I'm investing in my own mind. I'm possessing something in my own mind. You have to first possess in mind before you possess without. It has to first go in your mind, then you possess it. Investment, that's what it means. And then you shall receive it. And I have one more thing to touch on. And then I don't know if somebody wanted to say something. The law of grace. Oh, that's Sir Marlon.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on, Sir Marlon. Yeah, we made this last point. The law of grace frees man from the law of karma. All this means is that you reap what you did not sow. It's really simple as that. You reap what you did not sow. You know what I'm saying? Karma is you reap what you sow. What does this mean here? The law of grace. What is grace? Grace is basically a form of forgiveness. Excuse me. So you have a bad intention, a bad idea, but a bad imagination. I learned this some years ago when I saw The Secret. So they would teach us to purposely or intentionally think something negative and then you cancel it. So at the same time you think of something negative, you use the word cancel. You cancel it, you do it twice. Not exactly sure why, but that's how we were taught. When you think of something negative and you're aware that you just did something negative in mind, you say cancel. So when you type something on your iPad or on your phone and it didn't type right, didn't you go back and delete it? Either you're back, you hit delete or backspace or something like that. It's the same thing your consciousness is doing or can do. But you write the thing, did not realize what you wrote, and you send it, and it becomes a permanent fixture now. You can't even go back and fix it now because you've already sent it with the incorrect spelling or incorrect message, you know? So that's what happens in life. A lot of things we think, didn't realize it was negative or have any adverse consequence until it manifests and stuff like that. So you have to always constantly be aware. So if you know you had a bad intention or bad thought or did something whatnot, you can give yourself grace. Grace frees you from the law, because remember, the law is respect of no person. Okay, so you can free yourself of this karmic return by being aware that you can give yourself grace by letting go and forgiving yourself. Because the only person to forgive is really yourself. Letting go and forgiving yourself, of what you thought or said or did and whatnot. Okay? That's giving yourself grace. And grace frees you from the law. It's like you went to trial and the the judge and the jury and everybody else gave you grace. They say you didn't do it or you didn't mean it. It was an accident, whatever. Something like that. So you're your own judge, you're your own jury, you're on trial, and you're working it out the way you desire it to be. Ask aright, do it aright. Don't focus on the negative return, because if you focus on that, that's what's going to happen. You can cancel it out, pluck up the seed. The law returns to you returns what you planted if you weren't aware of what you did and you did not pluck up the seed. So it becomes karmic. If you invest in something and you ask back for your money, there's nothing to return. You ask back for your money, but if you invest and left it there, something will return. You understand? So it is the same concept with your consciousness. The law of grace frees you from the law of karma. You reap what you did not sow. Okay. Sir Marlon, what were you going to say, my brother? If you're there.
Yeah, man. No, I'm actually for the end of the show. Make the show go on.
All right, brother.
Yeah, cause I know you have another little piece of video for the
Yeah, we'll have another few minutes with the last chapter for today's lesson, chapter 6. Okay, so that's what's coming up next, chapter 6. And it is we call again the law of casting the burden and pressing your subconscious. Okay, so let's just listen what she says about this. A very, very important chapter right now. Casting your burden and pressing the subconscious. What does that mean? Let's take a listen.
Chapter 6: Casting the Burden and Pressing the Subconscious. When man knows his own powers and the workings of his mind, his great desire is to find an easy and quick way to impress his subconscious with good, where simply an intellectual knowledge of the truth will not bring results. In my own case, I found the easiest way is in casting the burden. A metaphysician once explained it in this manner. He said, "The only thing that gives anything weight in nature is the law of gravitation. And if a boulder could be taken high above the planet, there would be no weight in the boulder." And this is what Jesus Christ meant when he said, "My yoke is easy and my burden is light." He had overcome the world vibration and functioned in the fourth dimensional realm, where there's only perfection, completion, life, and joy. He said, "Come to me, all ye that are labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light." We are also told in the 55th Psalm to cast thy burden upon the Lord. Many passages in the Bible state that the battle is God's, not man's, and that man is always to stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. This indicates that the superconscious mind, or Christ within, is the department which fights man's battle and relieves him of his burdens. We see, therefore, that man violates law if he carries a burden, and a burden is an adverse thought or condition, and this thought or condition has its root in the subconscious. It seems almost impossible to make any headway directing the subconscious from the conscious or reasoning mind. As the reasoning mind, the intellect, is limited in its conceptions and filled with doubts and fears. How scientific it then is to cast the burden upon the superconscious mind or Christ within, where it is made light or dissolved into its native nothingness. For example, a woman in urgent need of money made light upon the Christ within, the superconscious, with the statement, I cast this burden of lack on the Christ within, and I go free to have plenty. The belief in lack was her burden, and as she cast it upon the superconscious with its belief of plenty, an avalanche of supply was the result. We read, the Christ in you, the hope of glory. Another example. One of my students had been given a new piano, and there was no room in her studio for it until she had moved out the old one. She was in a state of perplexity. She wanted to keep the old piano, but knew of no place to send it. She became desperate, as the new piano was to be sent immediately, in fact, was on its way, with no place to put it. She said it came to her to repeat, I cast this burden on the Christ within, and I go free. A few moments later, her phone rang and a woman friend asked if she might rent her old piano, and it was moved out a few minutes before the new one arrived. I knew a woman whose burden was resentment. She said, I cast this burden of resentment on the Christ within, and I go free to be loving, harmonious, and happy. The Almighty Superconscious flooded the subconscious with love, and her whole life was changed. For years, resentment has held her in a state of torment and imprisoned her soul, the subconscious mind. The statement should be made over and over and over, sometimes for hours at a time, silently or audibly, with quietness but determination. I have often compared it to winding up a Victrola. We must wind ourselves up with spoken words. I have noticed, in casting the burden, after a little while, one seems to see clearly. It is impossible to have clear vision while in the throes of carnal mind. Doubts and fear poison the mind and body, and imagination runs riot, attracting disaster and disease. And steadily repeating the affirmation, I cast this burden on the Christ within and go free, the vision clears, and with it, a feeling of relief, and sooner or later comes the manifestation of good, be it health, happiness, or supply. One of my students once asked me to explain the darkness before the dawn. I referred in a preceding chapter to the fact that often, before the big demonstration, everything seems to go wrong, and deep depression clouds the consciousness. It means that out of the subconscious are rising the doubts and fears of the ages. These old derelicts of the subconscious rise to the surface to be put out. It is then that man should clap his cymbals like the Jehoshaphat and give thanks that he is saved, even though he seems surrounded by the enemy, the situation of lack or disease. The student continued, how long must one remain in the dark? And I replied, until one can see in the dark, and casting the burden enables one to see in the dark. In order to impress the subconscious, active faith is always essential. Faith without works is dead. In these chapters, I have endeavored to bring out this point. Jesus Christ showed active faith when he commanded the multitude to sit down on the ground before he gave thanks for the loaves and fishes. I will give another example showing how necessary this step is. In fact, active faith is the bridge over which a man passes to his promised land. Through misunderstanding, a woman had been separated from her husband whom she loved deeply. He refused all offers of reconciliation and would not communicate with her in any way. Coming into the knowledge of spiritual law, she denied the appearance of separation. She made this statement, there is no separation in divine mind. Therefore, I cannot be separated from the love and companionship which are mine by divine right. She showed active faith by arranging a place for him at the table every day, thereby impressing the subconscious with a picture of his return. Over a year passed, but she never wavered, and one day he walked in. The subconscious is often impressed through music. Music has a fourth dimensional quality and releases the soul from imprisonment. It makes wonderful things seem possible and easy of accomplishment. I have a friend who uses her Victrola daily for this purpose. It puts her in a perfect harmony and releases the imagination. Another woman often dances while making her affirmations. The rhythm and harmony of music and motion carry her words forth with tremendous power. The student must also remember not to despise the day of small things. Invariably, before a demonstration come, signs of land. Before Columbus reached America, he saw birds and twigs, which showed him land was near. So it is with a demonstration, but often the student mistakes it for the demonstration itself and is disappointed. For example, a woman had spoken the word for a set of dishes. Not long afterwards, a friend gave her a dish which was old and cracked. She came to me and said, "Well, I asked for a set of dishes, and all I got was a cracked plate." I replied, "The plate was only a sign of land. It shows your dishes are coming. Look upon it as a bird and seaweed." And not long afterwards, the dishes came. Continually making believe impresses the subconscious. If one makes believe he is rich and makes believe he is successful, in due time he will reap. Children are always making believe, and except ye be converted and become as little children, ye shall not enter the kingdom of heaven. For example, I know of a woman who was very poor, but no one could make her feel poor. She earned a small amount of money from rich friends who constantly reminded her of her poverty, and to be careful and saving. Regardless of their admonitions, she would spend all her earnings on a hat, or make someone a gift, and be in a rapturous state of mind. Her thoughts were always centered on beautiful clothes, and rings and things, but without envying others. She lived in a world of the wondrous, and only riches seemed real to her. Before long, she married a rich man, and rings and things became visible. I do not know whether the man was the divine selection, but opulence had to manifest in her life, as she had imaged only opulence. There is no peace or happiness for man until he has erased all fears from the subconscious. Fear is misdirected energy and must be redirected or transmuted into faith. I am asked so often by my students, "How can I get rid of fear?" I reply, by walking up to the things you are afraid of. The lion takes its fierceness from your fear. Walk up to the lion and he will disappear. Run away and he runs after you. I have shown in previous chapters how the lion of lack disappeared when the individual spent money fearlessly, showing faith that God was his supply and therefore unfailing. Many of my students have come out of the bondage of poverty and are now bountifully supplied. Through losing all fear of letting money go out, the subconscious is impressed with the truth that God is the giver and the gift. Therefore, as one is one with the giver, he is one with the gift. A splendid statement is, "I now thank God, the giver, for God, the gift." Man has so long separated himself from his good and his supply, through thoughts of separation and lack, that sometimes it takes dynamite to dislodge these false beliefs from the subconscious, and the dynamite is a big situation. We see in the foregoing illustration how the individual was freed from his bondage by showing fearlessness. Man should always watch himself hourly to detect if his motive for action is fear or faith. Choose ye this day whom we shall serve, fear or faith. Perhaps one's fear is of personality. Then do not avoid the people feared. Be willing to meet them cheerfully, and they will either prove golden links in the chain of one's good or disappear harmoniously from one's pathway. Perhaps one's fear is of disease or germs. Then one should be fearless and undisturbed in a germ-laden situation, and he would be immune. One can only contract germs while vibrating at the same rate as the germ, and fear drags men down to the level of the germ. Of course, the disease-laden germ is the product of carnal mind, as all thought must objectify. Germs do not exist in the superconscious or divine mind, therefore are the product of man's vain imagination. In the twinkling of an eye, man's release will come when he realizes there is no power in evil. The material world will fade away, and the fourth dimensional world, the world of the wondrous, will swing into manifestation. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. And this ends chapter 6.
Right. That ends the lesson in terms of that chapter 6. And we're going to just go over what we just heard or listen to, for that final chapter. Chapter 6, casting your burden and pressing the subconscious. She used a lot of biblical references to illustrate that the Bible is true. However, it is not real. These things are just metaphorical messages, parables, symbolism. None of these things happened in the past. They are not history. They are just mysteries of the mind that is always taking place. So the Bible, in essence, is not something that happened, but is happening. It's mind science, And so chapter 6, using all those biblical references with Jesus and telling people my yoke is easy and light, cast all your burdens upon me. Let's reiterate or let's remind everyone that Jesus in the Bible represents your subconscious mind / superconscious. Okay? That's what it represents. That's why he's always saying, I and the Father are one. So the superconscious is the Father, the subconscious is the middleman between the conscious mind that relay messages, feelings, thoughts to the superconscious. And it comes back. The superconscious is the plant, the water plant, the electrical plant, and the thing in between coming from either the electrical plant or the water plant is the subconscious or the subdivision, a smaller divided version of itself coming into your home, supplying you the energy from the plant. If you cut the line from the plant, the house gets no power. Or if you cut it outside the road or from the light pole, you have severed the power from the Father, from the plant. But there has to be an in-between. The conscious mind, the carnal mind, and the Father. In between that mind is the subdivision of the Father, the subconscious. Okay? That is a go-between. The Father cannot get to the conscious mind without the subconscious in the middle, in between. Okay? That's what joins you to the Father. You can look at the divine name Yod He Vav He as such. The Yod being the Father or the superconscious. The He is the conscious mind / the desire. And the Vav is the subconscious, the one that joins the Father and the desire or the one desiring. Your water from the plant is joined to you to you by a conduit from the plant to the house. Otherwise, you cannot get the water or the electricity. It will never come to you. There has to be a go-between. There is no possible way for that to happen without that. Can't happen. It's the same thing with your consciousness, except that you don't see it. There's no arrangement anywhere like we have here. All this is just a demonstration of how the organization of consciousness. The consciousness is already organized in an invisible state, already prepped as is. This is why we create things as is. We're taking things that directly reflect the operation of consciousness. When they came up with these names, this is just consciousness reflecting to the observer, the one observing nature, and coming up with these this description, Yod Hey Vav Hey. It just describes how awareness works. Other languages could have their own description of it. So it's not a one size fits all per se. Everybody could have their own way, but it's still going to equal out or come to the same conclusion, whichever way they see it, or write it down. It's going to come back to the same conclusion. Any country you go, the same way they distribute the water to the homes. There has to be an in-between. The electricity has to be an in-between. There's no way around it. Consciousness, in consciousness, there is a phase or process that you go through. This is why things do not happen immediately when you think of it. There has to be a process. The conscious mind talks to the subconscious talks to the superconscious. Who are the superconscious? The superconscious is just, you have a desire. Let's use me as an example. What was it? There was a time when I needed to get my roof fixed after the hurricane. I wasn't successful with the insurance company because I was trying to do it from here, using my conscious mind, relaying with them, talking to them, pleading with them and whatnot. After a while, I decided that, you know what, I'm not going to talk to these guys anymore. So I know what I desire, what I wanted. So I started asking people who deal with the insurance companies all the time, if they could, contact them and whatnot. So that didn't work out. So one day I was at the shop working and this guy just walked in, and I don't know how the argument started, the conversation, but it went to the house. The hurricane was 2 years before, so we weren't talking about anything recent to even bring that up. And I began to tell him my plight with the hurricane and the house and whatnot. And he told me, oh, I'm a contractor and I work with a few people. I can take care of that for you. And he did. The guy contacted the guys who he works with, and probably within less than 3 months, if it was even that long, I don't remember exactly, but I know by June or May, June, thereabouts, because I think it was in March of that 2019. And by that time, the house was fixed in 3 months or so. The roof was done. And I even made some money from the deal. And I told him, I don't care about making any money. I just want my roof fixed. But I did make a good change off of it, even though I had not asked the man for any money. I told him. But the way it worked out, I got my roof fixed. I made some money. That right there is the superconscious. The Father is everybody, the Elohim coming together. That's another name for the divine name of God, is Elohim, one made up of many. Okay, that's the Father. I am. So the superconscious is all the consciousness together as a whole. The ocean is made up of many drops. It's not just one drop. many drops, many rainfalls or whatever, one drop at a time makes up the entire ocean. It's one spark at a time that makes up the Father, or the Father is fragmented into the many. So when we're talking about the superconscious, we're not talking about some being or God out there in oblivion. The superconscious is right here. Everybody you see makes up the Father. Individually, we're acting as the Son, our subconscious mind. Okay? And we have a carnal mind, the conscious mind, to operate the consciousness. See, everything has an order of how things works. The conscious mind is the head of the consciousness. It's the mouth that speaks, that thinks, articulates. Okay? So when the Bible is written, they're telling you, God said to Moses, God not said nothing to Moses. That is your conscious mind picking up divine message from within your awareness and writing it down, conveying it by way of imagining, thinking, contemplating, whatever, visualizing, you're writing all these things down. But you need the conscious mind to do it. Without the conscious mind, the consciousness has no way to articulate our experience. Okay? You need the conscious mind to articulate, to experience the entirety of consciousness. Okay? You need this house to operate the electricity. Other than that, the plant is just the plant. There's nothing that can be done with it. It needs something apart from itself, but is one with it. It's not severed. It's just something beside it that's operating, but operating as one with the totality of consciousness. But you need these other arms, extension, to operate the entirety. Okay, you can see the brain as this plant, but the brain has no use if you have no hands, no eyes, no nose, no mouth, no ears, no body. It's just a brain, useless, just a full potential, but you need all the other extremities, the external part, to do what the brain does, but cannot do without these extremities. You understand? So that is consciousness, even in a physical form, as man, male and female, showing you how it operates. There's a head, the totality, the consciousness, but something has to operate it. So you have a left brain and a right brain, okay, to operate both sides of your body, both sides of your face and whatever, all these different things. Everything is following an order, okay? So that said, you are consciously casting all the thoughts or desire in your conscious mind. You're the mind of knowledge. The conscious mind is the mind of knowledge. All that means is the thoughts are coming to you consciously. You know, you are conscious of them. You are aware of them, whether they be good or bad or indifferent. Okay? But these thoughts, good or bad, you are going to send them to the Father. You're going to cast them on the subconscious mind. Cast your burden on the subconscious mind. My yoke is easy, my yoke is light, my burden is light. The subconscious mind does all the work. Okay? All you do is think, desire, imagine, and then you give it to your subconscious to carry it out. you know? And so as I became more aware and this and that and the third, like something happened the other day with a rent a car. Was it? It's almost 3 weeks ago. I think it was like 3 weeks ago. We went somewhere, rent a car. We decided to cancel it. The people decided they weren't going to give us back our money because we canceled it on the same day. So never bothered to use it. So you know, they say they're not going to give us back our money, but I didn't worry about that. You know, um, I just leave it up to the subconscious. I did not entertain anything about they're not going to give us back our money. Never went to bed worrying about it or fretting or none of that. I saw that money coming back in some way, somehow, you know. And first they offered us to what do they call it? Some kind of voucher, all this type of stuff. Didn't want that. But eventually the money is back, you know. So but they do these things because they know you're consciously going to argue and fret and worry about it, and you're going to cancel out your blessing, so to speak. So bless the. So all I did was just bless the situation. I agreed with the adversary while I was in the way with it. See it the way I wanted to see it. See the money back. See the argument stop. All that stuff. No internal back and forth with yourself or worrying about this and that the third. So I find myself just calm about everything. So anytime anything pop up that's adverse, I just bless it and leave it be. So I'm learning these things to just cast my burden upon the greater mind of your awareness, the subconscious. Cast your burden to the subconscious. Don't go to the we call it the plant, trying to get the power from there. You're going to electrocute yourself. Okay. Ask the people who are knowledgeable about that, the subconscious, to install the power to your house and then use it. Don't try to do it yourself. That's not your job. You don't know how to do that. Seek someone's knowledge who's more knowledgeable or wiser, and that is your subconscious mind, the go between. Okay? The subconscious is going to make all the necessary connections to bring that in which you're going in search of to confront you. Okay? I like this part here. Darkness comes before dawn. The guy asked, how long should I stay in the darkness? He said, until you can see. So how do you see in the darkness? By giving your problem, which is the darkness, or the doubt, or the fear, or whatever. Give that, cast that upon the subconscious. Do not occupy your mind, your conscious mind with that. You're only going to produce more of it. So cast it on the subconscious. You're going to only be in the darkness until the subconscious finds the way to fix it. I was in the darkness when it comes to my roof for 2 years. The subconscious fixed it, and I was no longer in the dark. So the guy said, how long should I stay in the darkness? Until you can see your desire. When you see your desire manifests in front of you, you're no longer in the dark. You're out. Until then, the darkness just means something unmanifested. And it can also mean you continuing to fret, worry, imagine foolishness about the thing you desire as a non-reality, as it could never happen. That's also you in the dark. Whenever you can see it as a possibility, then you are no longer in the darkness of your vain imagination. You're out of that. When you get out of that, then it plays out in your world. You know, it manifests itself right there on the screen. And I like this part, active faith. Active faith is you having faith in something, but you're acting as if you already have it. So you're acting your part. People are gonna say you're crazy. You know, when my wife got her car, all I did was act as if we already had it. She didn't do it, but I did, and got that exact car, the same one, same car that I liked for her is the same color, same car, because I made videos of it. I sat in it. I act as if I was driving it. I did all these different things. I was already faithful that we're going to get the vehicle or that we got the vehicle. But these are things that I learned, like I said, over the years, you know, with the secret, and even before the secret, way before the secret, I was doing these things, you know. Um, so that's active faith, digging your ditches, pretending. She said, make believe impresses the subconscious mind. So it's just a make believe. That's all it really means, active faith, to act as if you're already in that state. And the subconscious mind produces the make believe, the active sense. Go ahead, Sir Marlon. I see you got your hand up.
You're hearing a lot of like background circuits. Can you hear me clearly?
I don't hear any
The
noise.
supermarkets.
No noise. I hear
Okay,
you.
good. All right, Circus.
Yes,
Before
sir.
we go to, you know what? But they look for you on the thing, and I go through a whole thought process. So listen to you. And may I say to myself, there's a nature like whole year do me want to before. And it look that way the still from you being on the video is a full year.
Yeah. What on, Sir Marlon? You're kind of breaking up.
Yeah,
I hear you saying something about my beard.
how about now?
All right, go ahead.
Yeah,
Go
man,
ahead.
you know, hear me?
I'm hearing you now.
Yeah, hear me better now?
Better, better.
All right, no, I'm saying I went through a whole thought process while I was listening to you give the final words and stuff or whatever. And I'm saying to myself, say, when I go on the mic, I'm going to the circus. Circus and what that, because I never see what I beard before. A long time I don't see apparently in terms of on camera and stuff. Then I said, boy, man, get a full black beard. And I even chin one. I never see that, never knew you could have grown that kind of beard there. Then the third process brought me to say, you know, I'm going to play the circus and say, you know, so circus, you know, so we kind of little bit bad mind for the beard, because I'm not think I can't grow my beard that full, you know. But then I say, what thinking? Where people get that from? Jamaican people, bad mind.
Bad mind.
Bad mind. We know, we know say the word, the proper so-called proper term is envy. But where we get bad mind from? You see, it's such a thing, you know. So I don't want that me I think about, you know. But I'm there, I listen to you finish up and think. So me I say, boy, what? Yeah, man, no one you could have good that kind of be the circus one.
Well, I've been
You
growing
have
this
to go
now.
show me.
I've been growing this now for I think exactly 1 year.
For real? So
Yeah,
I've been seeing it the whole time and not realizing that there are things a mask you have on your chin. You know, when you pull on the mask, yeah, it's a full beard.
30 is
But
you're lucky you can't even grow here for a female, much less.
I'm a grow. No, I'm a grow beard, man. But when I promise it, I go. When I promise my beard, you know, my beard white long time. Um,
White like chalk.
you know, the whole for salt and pepper I go on, brother, and
No,
I'm
man.
more salt and pepper right now.
My beard salt and pepper, man. I make it full, you. You know.
Okay. Yeah, so Chris. Well, you know what I wanted to say earlier though, and think, and I declined until the end of the lesson. Is you know, when you think about it, you know, if Jesus was a real person, You know, said Jesus, think about it, I say, and correct me if I'm wrong. You realize that Jesus did not tell them the same thing what we are tell them in essence. Jesus did not come like Abdullah now, in a few times. Think about a real person. Because you know, say, he never. No, think about me, I say. You see me, I did? Think about things that we did teach them. If never teach them, say the power, the outside of them, you know. Him always tell them, say the power there within. If you look on every right thing about him, and when them talk about the Father, we are talking about the eye. We know him talk about the higher power now. We know them that men manipulate words and change a lot of things during the whole translation whatever it is. Because I learned that from this. I learned that over a period of time that a lot of what we're reading, whether the King James version, the new American edition or version, or whatever they call it, and all that, a whole lot of things change. Nonetheless, knowledge and truth come from within. So even with all those writings manipulated or not, we know say a lot of deceit is being told and whatever. But I was just thinking that we should look upon what them right about this Jesus fellow. You understand? You know, just look on the writings. We still can use these writings today to describe a lot of spiritual meaning. They put a lot of spiritual meaning to it.
Yes.
How do we know that that wasn't what it was written for by a past stage? You know what I mean? Coming down, just like we are in this day, and we are putting forth this knowledge, we're acquiring this knowledge, we are put it in place, and then when we shall transition to the next density or the next level of our existence and things, those that are left in this physical realm won't be using these just like how we are use those words. I hope I'm saying make sense.
Come on, you're saying we're leaving it better than when we were here, you know, or in our younger days and whatnot. So you're leaving in a better place and space for the ones who are coming behind us to kind of like start out with experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
This is
no, I'm saying it's a wake up. The waking up has been happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Look on Never Gathered with Abdullah. And look at others with how they started their journey. Who they met, who they crossed paths with to ignite or to cause them to start remembering. You see me, David?
Yeah.
The fact that we're here now, most of us do religion, we couldn't understand what I'm trying to tell you because it never resonated with us how they try to tell us that it worked. Because they were teaching us from outside in. But now that we have the understanding now, we have a better understanding of
Inside out. That's right.
It makes sense? Yeah,
Makes
man.
sense. Makes sense.
Man, I just think this is
Yeah, man, it's very elementary when you look at it, sir, man. It's only the carnal mind complicate things because the carnal mind does not understand the levels of the awareness.
Right.
So it's a mind of confusion, and it thinks everything is difficult, but it really is not. It's just an assumption that it is, but it's not true.
It's a bad mind.
It's a bad mind. You know, it's having a bad mind, a bad train of thought.
That's right.
You know, and that's why it has to be disciplined. You know, the conscious mind is like a child. It's like a child that you're bringing up. Don't you have to discipline your child? The child cannot discipline themselves enough.
Right.
No one here has a child that discipline themselves. It is you who have to discipline the child. You know? So your conscious mind, in a sense, is your child. Oh, sorry, to say I have to run. Yes, brother. I think he started to work at the moment. We're going to close out shortly anyway. over the time. But the conscious mind is a child. And the subconscious mind is the mind of discipline. So it's the mind that disciplines the conscious, you know, because the subconscious mind is the mind of perfection. It's a perfect world. So what it's trying to tell you, the conscious mind, it's trying to reflect these things to you. That, hey, every time you move or think or imagine, I record it. I the subconscious absorb what you're saying, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and I reflect it back to you. I'm telling you, when I show you what you're doing, it is to discipline you. It is to make you aware that, oh, I realize that every time I move, my shadow moves. So I am the one who's influencing my shadow. I'm the one who's influencing my subconscious mind, who in this sense is your shadow. It's a mind that is not present. You're not presently aware of it. It's not physical as you are in your conscious state. It is subconscious, but it is there, and it is the Eve or the helpmate of mankind. That's who your subconscious is. It's the helpmate, or the wife of the conscious, And so once you become aware that everything that you do is reproduced and reflected back to you, then you become disciplined. Then you start to do things in a disciplined way. So that's why, Jesus went around organizing these different disciples,
About 12.
To discipline their mental state, discipline how they think, and how they
Niggas I'm back to open, man.
They discipline them how you discipline your conscious mind, how it perceives things, with the five senses. Okay. When you hear somebody say something that goes against your desires, like you apply for a house and they denied the application, they wrote you a letter, you saw it consciously with one of your sense, your sight, sense of sight, you saw it, but you're supposed to discipline your sight. Don't see what you do not want to see. Remember, man becomes what you see. Not what you see with these eyes. Man becomes what you see with your eye, your inner state of awareness. So if you was given something that is against your desire of buying a house, destroy that and only see what agrees with your desire. But oftentimes we become caught up and emotional because our conscious mind is not disciplined. We get emotional with the outcome and produce more of that. Now we go to somebody else and they give us the same news because we've already internalized and made it an emotional state. So I know it's not easy, and it's not because of our conscious mind being emotional, the emotional mind, believing in good and evil, but it is simple in terms of the process by knowing that all you need to focus on is your desire for a new house or a particular thing. Stay connected to that. Crucify yourself to that. or crucify that to yourself and stay steadfast to that. You know, if you're going to do any action, you know, pertaining to that, either in mind or physical, just act as if, pretend that what you've desired is what you're living. But they never taught us to do that. You see, kids do that. Your little 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old, they act as if. Watch them. They're always acting as if they're in this particular state of being. They're acting to themselves. They're driving their favorite car. They're pretending the whole time, and you just see it as fancy, as just kid stuff. But it's the reality. They are living their own reality as pure consciousness. They don't know anything about no and impossibility. They learn all these things. When you come here as a child, there is nothing that you cannot do or does not or don't see as potential um, experiences. You don't see no negative about it. That's why you ask your mother, your father over and over for the same thing, even after they tell you no, or I don't think so, I'm going to see. You keep going to them and asking them. After a while, those no's add up and become registered in your own subconscious mind. And then you become afraid now to ask because you already know what they're going to tell you. They're going to tell you no. Then it starts to affect you. You start to think the things that I desire is not going to happen because I see where my father struggled, my mother struggled. I see everybody struggling, so it's going to be the same for me. And these become your program, and they direct or operate your life. You know, so we have to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Learn the right things, the right way to think. Unlearn the foolishness, the garbage that we were given, and then relearn mean to return to our pure state of awareness. You know, um, you know, put back within us what was taken away by society, by our parents, by just all of our external engagements, that we internalize and made them mental. Get rid of all of that and undo it, learn the right stuff, and operate from that sense of awareness. So it is all a mind over matter. Mind over matter, meaning that focus on the internalization of your desire rather than the matter, rather than what's externalized, rather than what you heard them say. I cannot grant you the loan this time. I cannot grant you the car this time. Whatever it is, not hiring right now. Do not hear what they say. Hear what you desire to hear. That's something that you have to sharpen. You have to train yourself. That is, you train your sight, you train your hearing, you train, your touch, your smell, your taste. All these things you're training. All 5 senses. And once you train that and train how you use your conscious mind, your disciples, all your 12 disciples, starting with Peter, which is the art of hearing. He's always the first because hearing is something that you don't have to see the person to hear them. You can hear things that you did not set out to hear. You were not in the way of it, but you heard it anyways. So your hearing is the first thing you have to train. You can always not see a certain thing. You can always cover your eyes, all these different type of things and whatnot. But people are gonna always say stuff. They're gonna call your names. They're gonna do all these different things that you're going to hear. You may not know who said it, but you're gonna hear it. That's why you have to discipline your hearing. Simon, the art of hearing. First guard at the gate of your consciousness. When he's disciplined, he's now surnamed Peter. Surname is your second nature or new nature. That's all your last name really means. It's your new nature. That's why when you get married, the woman takes on the nature of the husband, because that is the new nature of your guys' union. So you have to have the same nature now. You understand? So it's the same thing with your desire. Your desire has to have the nature that you have within yourself. It has to become one with your desire, or with your nature. Once it becomes one, married, and it becomes externalized. So just in closing, God is the giver and the gift. Okay, so everything is your awareness. It's all one. You are the audience and the game. Okay, you're the spectator and the game. Everything is you. So you can manipulate how you're seeing the game and how you're playing the game, if you know that everything is you. If you see everything as separate, then you're going to have helter-skelter experiences. Okay, everything is one, everything is you. So act as if. See what you want to see as a spectator. Do as you would like to do as the player or actor on the stage. So God is both the giver and the gift. You're given to yourself. You're also taken from yourself. So to see lack is taken away from yourself. To see abundance is given to yourself. That's simple. Disease is a product of the carnal mind. So disease only mean dis-ease of the mind not at ease. The conscious mind is the only mind that cannot be at ease.
At ease.
Mr. Sunshine,
Good.
got something to say?
Purple. Purple.
Oh, it looks like his son has his phone or something. But the conscious mind is the mind that is not at ease. Oh,
Yeah. My son did do it, but I was waiting for a pause, but he hit the phone before I was ready.
yeah, I figured he was the one messing with the phone. You have you have something to say, young man?
Papa.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that's your papa.
Yeah, monster truck. Yeah. Your monster truck? Yeah. So
Oh,
what I would add is a lot of dis-ease comes from stinking thinking.
yes.
We doubt ourselves, so therefore we create this discomfort in our spirit, in our mind.
Yeah.
Words like I put in the chat the word try. The try means you're going to give forth effort, but do not expect success. So if you do not expect success, you're destined for failure.
Yeah.
So always set out to accomplish something, or just don't do it. All right. And the thing is, when you set out to something, you either accomplish it or you potentially fail at it. But you truly don't fail at anything until you give up. So you go out and do it. If it doesn't come to the outcome you'd like, you redo it. And then you keep redoing it until it comes out with the outcome that you want. But that's one thing, that frustration is what leads to that dis-ease. And that's what's going to cause the cortisol in your body to build up and wrinkles and gray hair and all that fun stuff. So the main thing is always set out for success. Frustration leads to dis-ease. And whenever you do have a challenge, step left and move forward.
Great advice. Son, are you listening to that? You heard Papa?
You hear?
Papa?
Yeah.
You heard what Papa said?
You heard what Papa said?
Yeah. Teach them while they're young.
Exactly.
Because they absorb everything like a sponge.
Yes. Hi, buddy.
You heard that, young man?
So the only thing that needs to be done in our bedroom is the crib. I'm waiting for Taya.
Okay. Well, everything else is my level of clean?
Yeah.
I'll check it in a minute. Gotta inspect what you expect.
That's right. Inspect what you expect. And that's an interesting terminology right there. Inspection starts from within. Expectation comes without. But you have to first do it inside, inspect it, meaning to think wisely, like you said, get rid of the stinking thinking, and only think wisely, only imagine wisely. And then it will externalize. We just have to be patient and wait, for the output, and that's our problem. When we see, you mentioned something about, and we're going to close, that the darkness, right?
Mm-hmm.
People take the darkness as the thing that you have desired. In other words, the darkness could be a rejection, a reversal of some kind. Like, they reverse what I had already put in place. They denied my application. So people see that it's darkness, but they see the darkness as they start to internalize the darkness, which produces more of it, rather than sticking to light, so to speak, rather than sticking to the desire beyond the darkness. So that's where the dawn comes after the darkness, because you can't, the dawn cannot be stopped. It has to come.
And the key is when you look through Genesis, you look at creation. The Most High took the darkness, coalesced it in one side so the light can shine forth. So take whatever darkness it is, bottle that, and push it to the side.
Yeah.
So that way you can actually go through, because it's kind of just like an intermission. Whenever you break in scenes, it gives you an opportunity to reflect. It didn't come out the way I wanted. So what do I need to change? What do I need to do? What do I need to introduce? What is my solution? And I tell that to a lot of people whenever they have fear. Fear is false evidence appearing real. When people are trained, they know what the outcome is, they know what the next step is, and they've made some sort of plan, and that plan kind of falls apart, is when fear starts to step in. But when you have an alternative, you create a solution, fear just melts away. When you know how that lion that you're worried about, when you know how to attack it or defend from it, you're not worried about it anymore, and you move forward. But it's when you don't have that concept, that idea, or that wisdom, is when fear sets in. So failing to plan is planning to fail. Make your plan, execute your plan. If your plan falls off, make a new plan, and keep going like that until you get your solution.
That's what super do.
Exactly. It takes practice. It takes having these practice in terms of having these things occur, and then you stick to it, and you see the positive outcome. It gives you more what I call it, faith, or more belief, reinforcement. Yeah. So if you can have a lot of wins when you saw potential loss and whatnot, if you can have more of those things working out, panning out, then it sharpens your imagination, it sharpens your awareness, it sharpens your outlook or perception on life. And so as you do that, it creates more of your better outcomes rather than more adverse ones. So practice makes perfect, right? So the more you can have these outcomes in your favor, and you know that you're the one that did it in consciousness, it's easier for you to get more of those wins. And they add up,
I also want to add, just when it kind of relates to finances, when you were talking about money in abundance, when people have an employee mindset, they keep looking for something else to deliver them and pay them.
Yeah.
All right. But when somebody has an employer mindset, they tap into that abundance because they know customers are out there. They just have to put up their sign. When we had the pandemic, and all of a sudden my business went from, it was a hurricane. After Hurricane Ian, my business went from doing well to zero. I didn't have any income coming in. So rather than going and looking for a job, I created another business. And as I told you many a time, as how it starts taking off, and now it takes up so much of my time. Yeah. But the key difference is if I went and got a job doing what I'm doing, I'd only make a third or less than what I'm doing right now. Whereas since I'm the owner of the business, I'm making 3 times as much as somebody that's an employee would.
Exactly. True.
Right. So create a business, create your assets, or understand your difference between your assets and liabilities. A lot of people believe that their car is an asset. truly a car is a liability because it only costs. Now it can get you there faster, particularly if you have a Mercedes instead of a Toyota. But the cost of getting that is the direct connection between how much of a liability it is, because you also look at upkeep and maintenance. So what things are out there. Now, when somebody has a business, that truly is an asset because it continues to put off funds. And when it's done right, it'll put off funds when you're not even there.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
that's how you tap into that wealth and the abundance, in my humble opinion.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Good, great advice. To us all here. I'm living proof of that.
Look at this.
Even not having a job to, starting my own business.
Money, that's awesome.
Right. But it's the starting your own business that led you to the success. Your job wasn't taking you where you were. And when you count the paychecks, I guarantee you're making more money now than you were then.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah. A whole lot more.
Right.
That,
because is made for business,
you
not for
employee.
Employee is a new slavery. Now, I don't say that as a knock on employees because you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
But the point of a job is to build capital so you can actually start your business. That's it. Because a job will keep you just over broke. That's all it will do.
Yes.
And that's the same thing that would keep you as slavery. That would keep you alive just enough that you could do the work.
It's funny how they spell Job in the Bible.
Right.
J-O-B and then job. Because Job experienced a lot of loss in his life in the depiction of that story. But later on, when he applied his mind the right way, as you're saying, no, he multiplied his earnings. He multiplied his possessions. He had more cattle, more children, got married again. Whatever he did, he was more productive than when he was in that low state of mind. So it's interesting how they spell the two words similar.
Keep in mind,
Probably
Job stayed on plan the entire time. It was the adversary that actually went against him. So despite all the challenges that were put in front of him, the hurdles that came, the pitfalls that came, he stayed on plan and kept moving forward.
Yeah. But he did say, the things that I feared has come upon me. Those fear was the adversary, the adverse fears, the adverse expectations and whatnot. So it's telling you that you're Job and you're doing everything to yourself. Whatever you fear, man, I'm afraid that I'm going to lose this job. Man, I'm afraid I'm the one who's next in line. Man, I'm afraid that I won't get this job. Whatever you're afraid of, you're going to experience it because you are firstly consciousness. You're operating the power. So the power has no it's all potential, but it cannot work itself. You have to work it, and it doesn't have any partiality about it. Whatever you do with it, if you take a hammer to your knee or to a nail, the hammer is still going to hit it. It does not know what is hitting. It's only obeying the operator. You understand? And so your consciousness is obeying your conscious mind thoughts, because remember, the conscious mind is the head. It's the hand of the consciousness. And the consciousness only responds to what the conscious mind is doing, okay? Or is thinking, or feeling. And so knowing that, operate it wisely. So that's why in the scripture, the first thing that you have to discipline is your hearing, Peter. That sense has to be disciplined first and foremost, because it's just how life is. You're going to hear a lot of things. You're going to be told a lot of things and whatnot. But whatever you hear, do not listen to it. That's very important. To hear it does not mean you listen to what is said. You cannot unhear it, but you do not have to listen. The word listen means to list within. Do not list anything you heard within yourself, the consciousness. Let it go in one ear and out the other, like they say. But do not listen to it. Once you listen to it, it's a wrap. You are now confined to that statement or those statements and stuff like that. You know, so but, we've gone way over the time. I know you guys have places to be, things to do. So wonderful class today. That was Florence Covich's Game of Life and how to play it. And so we're learning how to play the game by becoming wiser in our thinking, wiser in our imagining, wiser in our doing, and in how we perceive the game itself. It's all a game. We just have to learn how to play it. All right. When we play a game in life, as we know it, we know the game is not real. Nobody's dying from losing a basketball game. Okay. It's not that serious. Don't take it that seriously. What you can learn to be better so that you can win next time. So you don't have to experience that defeat or that feeling of defeat, you know, and you can laugh and smile and whatnot. So it's all a game. You just have to learn how to be a better player of the game. Okay. Next week, Sunday, is Easter Sunday. We are going to be here Easter Sunday. Friday coming up is Good Friday. And so we may
and today's the first day of Passover as well.
Okay.
So the Festival of Matzah.
First day of Passover.
In the Bible.
Yeah, so all these things are relevant to consciousness. We're going to see if we can tie those in next week. If you guys notice, we have a full moon going on right now. Since a couple of days ago, the reason why Easter is this Sunday is because it's of this full moon. After the full moon, that's when it's Easter. Okay? That's what happened in late March, early April, or late May. I mean, late April. So whenever that full moon comes, after that full moon, that's Easter.
And to keep in mind that Passover happens on the 14th of Nisan. And when you look at the Hebraic calendar, it aligns more perfectly to it than what you see as the Gregorian calendar. The Gregorian calendar doesn't fit the lunar cycle. That's why it shifts April, March, and has different dates. Whereas the 14th of Nisan, according to the biblical calendar, it falls on that day. So it's an interesting calculation if you look at it.
Yeah, and all of that is very significant as well. So, but yeah, so you know, have a good rest of your day. Rest of your Sunday. We're going to be back here again, like I said, next week to see if we can tie in this particular experience we're going to have from Good Friday to Easter Sunday. Let's see if we can talk about what all that means by using something in helping us to, I'm going to use it to show you guys how we attain or get our desires and whatnot. Easter is not about anything religious or biblical. It's spiritual, and it's also astrological, cosmic messages or cosmic happenings and whatnot. So nothing of it is in the past or all that stuff that it talks about. Okay, but we're going to address it next week, Sunday, right here on the One Great I Am Awakening. So in the meantime, guys, love you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day, wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you next week, right here again on the One Great I Am Awakening. Peace and love, everybody. Love you all. Over and out. Bless.